Step in the ring, feel the adrenaline rush, throwing fists and kicks, the pain we can't hush. And then they find us, we're the real tough guys, breaking down barriers, we aim for the skies. Into the octagon like a warrior I stand, slaying blows, taking hits as I command. The art of combat, I'm ready to go. Submission, knockout, that's how I flow. Unleashing the fury like an untamed beast, locked in a cage where strength is released. Striking precision, grappling with my golden octagon. The stage we ignite. Unleashing the fury like an untamed beast, locked in a cage where strength is released. Striking precision, grappling like a golden octagon. The stage we ignite.
And we are live. Welcome to the Golden Octagon MMA Podcast with your hosts, Matt and D Rose.
And what's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Golden Octagon MMA Podcast. My name is Matt. D Rose is on that side of the screen, and this week the D stands for don't forget. This is the last card of the year, y'all. So, make sure you make it a good one. Don't miss it. Get your bets in while you can, because we have no more MMA to bet on until early next year. So, with that being said, we appreciate you guys for stopping by here, hanging out with us here tonight. We're going to recap UFC 310. We got some UFC news and fight announcements to go over. I also, unfortunately, have to eat some beans, which if we would have just picked different fights, D-Rose, if we would have just picked different fights, you would have been eating them. But, that's not the way the bean crumbles over here, if you will.
Hey, to be fair, I threw you a bone and told you to take Anthony Smith and Dominic Reyes out of there. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, yeah. I was throwing you a bone there, trying to look out for you.
Yeah, and for some reason, I didn't want to put the Weidman fight in there, and then I was so confident on it. I even pick switched from the last pay-per-view. I was like, Eric Anders going to end up crushing him, dude, and I should have just been confident with it, but that was the backup fight, and it's not the way it goes. But we'll get into some UFC news and fight announcements, and then we'll end off the show with our UFC Tampa Covington versus Joaquin Buckley preview and our picks, and for all the bets and everything, you can catch me here Friday for Change of Cheddar. D-Rose, you're more than welcome to join me on the last Change of Cheddar of the year if you'd like to. Kind of missed the past two because I haven't been here for the pay-per-views, so it's just been tough to get them out. So with that being said, how you been over the past week, my guy? And we'll shout out the chat.
No, things have been great over this way. Everybody around here kind of caught a little cold or so, and everybody's been kind of like kick back for a little bit. I went a couple days where we was eating like nothing but soup and tomato soup and grilled sandwiches, and I made like a big old thing of beef stew. We ate on there for like 2 or 3 days, and I think I'm all brothed out. But other than that, man, we recovering, so we getting better.
That's good, man. That's good. You sound like me today, dude. I didn't want to do anything, but I say I'm an idiot, but I usually like to take off an extra day of work so I can come back and recover, but I didn't this week. So I got back from San Antonio last night at like 9:30 at night. I had to be at work this morning, 8. So I've just been going pretty much nonstop, and I cannot wait to actually get some solid sleep tonight, dude. Not gonna lie, because I don't feel the greatest right now. I don't feel sick. I just feel like I'm drained, dude. I don't have any more energy left. So we're going to power through this. We appreciate you guys for stopping by here, hanging out with us here tonight. We got Dave in here with the Yerp. We got Daniel Ager in here with the LFG. We got Antoine. Yo, what's up, boys? Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Antoine. Appreciate you. You know, these past few months stopping by here on the regular, man. We truly do appreciate it. Having a familiar face in here, you know, it's, you know, fun to get that interaction. I know D-Rose does enjoy it as well. Did I say that right? I don't know. We got Dave.
Yes, we enjoy the interaction, Antoine. So yes, keep engaging. We love it.
Indeed. And speaking of Reyes Smith, that was sad for Anthony Smith when he made the walk. Yeah, I guess I wish I would have looked more into that earlier in the week. D-Rose did let me know on the podcast, like everything that happened last week. And I was like, well, shit, you know, but I don't trust Dominic Reyes's chin. I still don't trust his chin, if I'm going to be completely honest, because, dude, Anthony Smith at some points in that fight was like in the first round, like literally putting his hands down, sticking his tongue out. Like there was nothing that Reyes threw could like hurt him. I'm like, what is happening right now?
Well, so just a quick, I know we're going to talk about the fight, but Dominic Reyes actually mentioned in his post-fight press conference that when Anthony Smith did that, Anthony Smith told him to punch him. Like Anthony Smith was like, hit me, because Anthony Smith was basically like wanting to feel pain and not like, you know, the pain that he's been suffering outside the octagon. So he was literally telling Dominic Reyes to punch him, more or less.
But the wild part is it didn't even look like it was affecting him when he did punch him. Like that was my point. I was like,
right.
It also looked like Anthony Smith had quite a size advantage over Dominic Reyes too. And that was kind of weird because I always thought fucking Dominic Reyes is a pretty big dude. And like Anthony Smith just looked like he had a lot more mass on him. So that was kind of odd. Yeah, we'll get into that. Like when you walk, broke down really unfortunate. I hope UFC bless him on his way out. Yeah, hopefully like they give him like a absolute bum, just like one more fight. But if not, I'd be okay not seeing Anthony Smith fight anymore. But before we talk about, you know, the whole card, before we actually pull the damn thing up, let's get into the card, D-Rose. So before we really get into it, I was at a quinceañera on Saturday. So I did watch the fights, at least the majority of them, what I could. The only issue was I didn't have any sound. It was on silence on my phone, and I did not buy it. So I was probably on a delay as well. So my experience of the fights this weekend is probably going to be a little bit different than all of y'all's, because this is me just watching the fights, absolutely no sound, like no commentary, no fans, nothing. So with that being said, let's get into it. Alexandre Pantoja submits Kai Asakura round 2 earlier than what I thought, because I had Kai Asakura sub, I think 3, 4, 5 in a few parlays, and I kind of thought he was going to submit him. I just didn't think it was going to be that early. And, you know, Alexandre Pantoja, dude, I said it when he got the championship, this dude's going to have this belt for a while because, one, he's already beaten everyone on the way up. So who else is even going to fight him now? And that's the issue that UFC is kind of running into at this point. Alexandre Pantoja calls out Mighty Mouse after the fight, and I saw Mighty Mouse just like a response. He was like, bro, I'm not coming back.
He said, my black ass ain't coming back.
Yeah. Like he was like, I've been offered $2 million, and I said no, I ain't coming back. But yeah, with that being said, what's your thoughts on the main event this past weekend, man?
Just the way that Pantoja he's got this menace, like this menacing, and I guess for lack of a better word, aura about him. And I think it's just coming with each title defense. But he's almost kind of got like, if he was at 185 or like 170 or something like that, like he would be like a super intimidating dude, like to the point to where a lot of times when I watch Alex Pereira, like my heart starts skipping a couple beats because I'm like, he's just such an intimidating character. And like when he's in there, you know, it's just going to be a lot of danger. I'm getting like that with Pantoja to a certain extent because, dude, he just means war. Like he is going to walk you down. get right in your face, all pressure, nonstop, and just break you down. And just his boxing isn't even like super technical. He just walks forward and just wings punches. But dude,
I've said it multiple times.
People.
He's like Hamzat if he had no. He's like Hamzat, and he gets tired, but it doesn't matter. He was just dead tired with hands down by his side, just still winging punches.
And he fights. The worst part is he's like, no, he's not like Hamzat. He's like Drekus. Because when Drekus like fights on empty, all of a sudden he's like, he starts fighting better for some reason, and his punches aren't like super technical, but he's landing big shots. Like Alexander Pantoja is basically Drekus Duplessis at 125, dude. But he can do everything. The dude is never in a boring fight. And kind of Sakura, when he threw that knee, I'm not going to lie, like I was like, oh man, Pantoja's about to be rocked. He was it just missed. Yeah, when I think Sakura, he like threw a big hook, and when he did, yeah, Pantoja's like, dude, that shit don't hurt.
He's like, is that all you got?
Yeah, well, and then Pantoja rocks him right after, he ended up doing the shoulder shrug. So the dude's just an absolute menace, man. I don't know who he's going to fight next. I mean, of course, Demetrius Johnson isn't coming back. I wouldn't mind to see Kai Kara-France. I believe Pantoja beat Kai Kara-France in the Ultimate Fighter, but I don't believe they've actually fought in the UFC as of yet, like the actual UFC. So, it's an exhibition match. Match technically didn't count. I would like to be able to see that fight, but as far as who he's going to fight next, I don't know, because as you said, he's ran through the whole top of the division at this point. And the dude's just an absolute menace. So yeah, love me some Pantoja, and yeah, that dude, he's an absolute rock star.
Yeah. Co-main event, Shavkat versus Ian Gary. I guess this is the one that I'm glad you were like, hey man, don't do that to yourself. Go ahead and pick Shavkat. I'm glad I did, because would have been close to getting clean swept this past weekend. But Shavkat versus Ian Gary. Shavkat wins via decision. Just watching the fight, dude, I saw, I think, a solid 4 rounds of this fight. And I thought Shavkat won every round, but there was no point that I thought Shavkat was going to finish Ian Gary. Like, once, like, it kind of like reminds me of what I said last week. Like, once Shavkat pinned you up against the cage, dude, he just holds you. Like, you can't get out of that. And I saw why, because he was gripping he would get Ian Gary up and he would grip the cage. Like, no wonder no one can move. He's holding the cage there. So I was like, that's how he does it. But yeah, I personally thought Shavkat won every round. There were a few moments like Ian Gary had his back. My takeaway from that fight, and it's, going to sound weird, was I looked down and I saw Ian Gary's like ass ripped out of his shorts. I was like, how did that happen? And then like in between rounds, he just takes his pants. I was like, they're just putting this on the TV like right now. Like, what's happening? Yeah, that was my main takeaway from the fight, was why is Ian Gary undressing in the middle of the octagon right now? But yeah, I thought Shavkat won that fight. What's your takeaway, man?
Yeah, it's actually hilarious. So as you said, he ended up getting his shorts or his ass ripped out of his shorts pretty much by Shavkat rubbing him up against the cage for freaking 10-15 minutes. But when he ended up taking his shorts off, Ian Gary didn't know that his shorts had been ripped. So when he's sitting there, the one of the people from the UFC staff ends up bringing up an extra pair of shorts, and he's like, "What happened?" And they're like, "Your shorts are ripped. You got to change them." And then he's like, "Okay, yeah." And like he didn't necessarily want to, but they were like, "Here, just do it." And he's like, "Okay, yeah, and I guess I'll do it." And then he just ended up changing shorts and
dude, that's got to be so distracting in the middle of your fight, dude. Like, someone telling you, "Hey, take off your shorts" in front of all these people. Like, what? Like,
yeah. Well, I guess a good thing, at least it was in between rounds versus actually being in the fight. But yeah, I guess once somebody knows on the UFC staff, they send somebody up. Hey, but at least they were prepared. They were prepared for the situation. So, better safe than not. But yeah, I thought as far as the fight overall, I thought Ian Gary won a solid 2 rounds. I thought that, Shopcott was really having a lot of trouble. He landed a few shots on the feet for the most part, but Ian Gary's defense is really good. My big thing is just that Ian Gary just doesn't. I felt like early on in the UFC when he first joined, like when you go back to that Jordan Williams fight and that Song Yadong fight, I felt like he put on just a lot more offensive pressure. Because dude, when you go back to that combo finish that he landed on Song Kanon, when he's just like throwing the knees against the fence, throwing the body shots, slipping and throwing 1-2s and just putting all that pressure on, and even how he finished D-Rod. You just don't see that aggressive nature with him, with his last few fights. And I think that's honestly what really cost him in this fight, because Shavkat wasn't able to land really big punches and wasn't able to really initiate the takedown for the most part, to the point where I even messaged you and I was like, dude, Shavkat actually cannot wrestle offensively. Like, if he can't get you in the clinch and then just, be able to just muscle you and throw you down once he gets his fingers out of the cage, I mean, he can't, it just seems like he really can't get the takedown. That he's not really that effective of an offensive wrestler. So that really ended up surprising me. I did think for the most part where Ian Gary was trying to be so defensive, Shavkat snuck out the first 2 rounds. I thought Ian Gary pressed the gas a little bit more in that 3rd round. Ian Gary could have won the 4th round, but once Shavkat got that takedown, I thought that's what edged it out for him. And then in the 5th round, of course, Ian Gary ended up getting the back take and ended up getting the choke in and almost ended up getting it. And yeah, there's going to be Charles Oliveira and all those guys are in his corner. I know they're going to be in his ear like, dude, you cannot have the back like that and not be able to finish that choke. And they're going to get him in the lab and work on that, because, I mean, Ian Gary is only 27 right now, so I think he's going to be able to bounce back from this. It's a good showing from him. I think his stock has went up after this fight because, honestly, the talk has been more about him than it has been about Shavkat, even though Shavkat is going to be the one going to be fighting for the title. But I will say this. It was a good, gritty win from Shavkat. Apparently, he had the injury or whatnot. I'm definitely a lot more confident now. And I told you that I was going to pick Bilal even before this fight happened against Shavkat. I feel a lot more confident now that that Bilal can beat Shavkat, because, as Ian Gary said, Shavkat was supposed to be the boogeyman of the division and take over. And from what I saw, what Ian Gary was able to do, I think Bilal Muhammad can definitely use a lot of his pressure. And yeah, I feel a lot more confident that Bilal Muhammad can win that fight against Shavkat.
Fair enough. I think there's still going to be a huge side advantage for Shavkat, dude. Like, look at right here in the bottom right corner, like Shavkat.
Yeah,
going to be way bigger. But with that being said, nothing we don't already know. So let's get to the robbery of the card, dude. Cyril Gane somehow wins a decision against Alexander Volkov, dude. 3-round fight. I watched.
Unbelievable.
I think probably 12 to 13 minutes of this fight, and I didn't see a moment of this fight that Volkov wasn't winning, dude. Every time I looked down, Volkov had gone up against the fence, had him down on the ground, or was, landing some solid shots on him, dude. I was like, maybe I missed the biggest parts of this fight, because even after the fight was over, Volkov got up. He had his hands up, yeah, I just dominated this dude. And Cyril Gane was laying on the ground, my foot hurt, or whatever was wrong with him. It was okay, Volkov clearly won that fight. Big dog. I was about to cash a few bets, but apparently not, dude. Cyril Gane gets the decision. Can you explain it to me at all? Is there any way, shape, or form that Cyril Gane could have won that fight that I just didn't see?
No, because in my opinion, as we said it going into the podcast or going into the weekend, because we both picked him that he was going to end up losing that fight. We both called it that he was going to that Volkov was going to end up losing. But all jokes aside on that part, I thought Volkov.
Hold on a second, Nero. Right before we get into this next one, you want to answer this real quick? Do you think Gary's size played a part in Shavkat's inability to bully Gary because he was taller? No, I think maybe his size, because he he's beat tall guys also like before. Like, I think Ian Gary was probably legitimately the best guy that Shavkat's ever fought. So that's just my opinion. How about you, Dearest?
Yeah. I mean, I think the same. I mean, the height could have played into it a little bit, but I mean, I think at the same time, you know, as I said, Shavkat's offensive wrestling isn't the greatest. You know, I'd even mentioned before multiple times where he even had Jeff Neal rocked in that fight against Jeff Neal, and Jeff Neal was still able to defend the takedown against Shavkat. So I do think a lot of it is just that if Shavkat's not able to not muscle you around, you know, tall or shorter, I just don't think he's going to be able to get the takedown. And that, of course, with Gary training with Shavkat so much as well, I'm sure he kind of knows all his tricks at this point. So it was able to kind of help him get one leg up as well.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, back to Volkov. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I thought that Volkov, I thought he clearly won round 2 and 3. I thought that one, I'll give Ciryl Gane round 1 because I did think that Volkov was kind of piecing him up a little bit, and then there towards the end, you know, Ciryl Gane, he had gotten the big takedown at one point there in the first round. You know, he had a little bit of ground and pound. I think he had even went for the guillotine at the end of the first round. So I will give Ciryl Gane round 1. He was a little bit more aggressive, but I thought in the second round, you know, the second round was kind of close, but I still thought that Volkov had the biggest moment in the second round with that spinning back fist that he landed. He seriously rocked Ciryl Gane. I haven't seen Ciryl Gane rock like that before outside of the Tato Iwasa fight. And yeah, I thought that the third round, clearly, of course, Gane going for another heel hook, just like he did against Francis Ngannou that lost him that fight. It's like, dude, how have you not learned at this point? It's not going to work against the top level guys. Like, it's not going to work, and you're going to screw yourself over every time doing that. And to me, you know, he should have screwed himself with that because he lost the third round clearly, but he ended up edging out the fight. I have no idea how the judges ruled that second round for Ciryl Gane, but that was a clear Volkov win for me, and a rare time where I'll say that was absolutely a robbery.
Yeah, I'm glad we can all. I'm sure everyone's agreeing for the most part. Even people that picked Ciryl Gane to win that fight are like, dude, I don't know how he won that fight. But you know, we can't complain too much because I'm not going to act like I have not been on the other side of some fantastic robberies, like inside of some like 9 or 12 leg parlays.
But this one's bad, dude. But dude, this one's really bad though. Like, this one's going to go down and like as one of those ones that everybody recalls off the top of their memory. Like, this is how bad this one stands out. I mean, there are some where, hey, you could kind of, you know, squint your eye at certain fights and say, hey, well, you know, maybe Yoel Romero did beat Izzy, or maybe Colby did beat Kamaru Usman in that second fight. You know, you can kind of squint your eyes at some of those fights. There's no way you can squint your eye at this fight and say that Ciryl Gane won this fight, because he absolutely did not. Even to the point where Ciryl Gane, after the fight, is walking out of the octagon because he's not even realizing that they're calling his name, because he had in his mind that he lost the fight. So yeah. Even when the dude who won thought he lost, yeah, that's one of the biggest robberies I've ever seen. Like, that's going to stand alone in the test of time, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's all right. You know, I have to take y'all's word for it, because once again, I didn't really hear a whole lot of like what was going on. But I just
But
thought
the commentary team thought Volkov won. I mean, John Anik was basically like, yep, Alexander Volkov will move on to his, you know, whatever, you know, moving on to the top of the division and all this stuff. Like, they were already saying that Volkov won. And when when it was announced that, they were pretty much assuming that he won too. So. Okay.
So, all right. So it's all of us. Moving on, we got Thug Nasty Bryce Mitchell going against Crone Gracie, dude. And speaking, you know, shout out Hanato Moicano, the turtle in the tree, dude. This dude is here strictly just because his last name's Gracie, dude. Because he is so fucking bad, dude. So fucking, like, who's some of the worst people we've said were in the UFC? Like, he's not Mike Jackson bad, because
Chris Moutinho.
No, he would beat Mike Jackson. but
Chris
he's
Mussina?
like,
I know he's bad.
no, hold on. It's like, dude,
Jamie Pickett.
it's like Jamie Pickett, dude. Like, what? Who let this dude here? Like, and it's not just like it happened one time, dude. Last time against Charles Jourdain was fucking bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
This one was even worse, dude. It's like he didn't even throw a strike. I think he landed three strikes the whole fight, dude. He was running around trying to grab Bryce Mitchell's arm so he could jump on him like a cowboy and try to ride him, dude. It was like the worst shit. And the whole fucking Bryce Mitchell was like, all right, do it one more time. One more time. He tries it. Fucking Bryce Mitchell braces on his face, slams him on the ground, a la Jordan Levitt and what was his name?
Was it Vince Pichel?
No, it wasn't Matt Hamill. He's a really old dude.
Vince Pichel?
Matt Wyman? Matt Wyman, maybe?
Wyman. Yeah, it was. You're right.
Slammed him down. Didn't knock him out with that, but then Bryce Mitchell follows up with 2 elbows, and Ozempic Keith Peterson steps in and is like, hey, we've seen enough here. Kron Gracie is out cold. Dude, he should never be allowed to fight in the UFC again, dude. Like, come on now. Like, this is it's almost like fraud levels of who let this guy here, dude? He has literally no fighting skills. He's a good jiu-jitsu guy, but dude, it's laughable. It's laughable how bad Kron Gracie is at in a fight, man. It's just bad. Shout out Thug Nasty for getting it done. I don't know where my camo hat is. Here it is. Shout out Thug Nasty.
Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, brother. What's your thoughts on Kron Gracie, Thug Nasty?
Yeah, man. The only thing that was good about this fight was that the fight ended earlier than I had anticipated. Just because I did not think there was going to be a finish at all. And as you said, Kron Gracie, just for him to just keep pulling guard. I mean, there's a certain point, as you said, you didn't get to listen to the broadcast. Every single time, like he was grabbing Bryce and was pulling guard, Joe Rogan kept going, "Oh no, oh no." Like every time was basically just like bracing for whenever Kron Gracie was getting ready to pull guard. So everybody's like, "Man, yeah, like here we go again, dude." Like he's getting ready to, freaking pull guard, and just kept doing it and kept doing it. And it's like, dude, thank goodness. Yeah, I mean, dude, it was funny because, like, yeah, he was just like, as soon as he would latch on, all of a sudden you hear, "Oh no," and then he just drops with him. It's like, dude, come on, man. Like, you've got to do something else other than this the whole time. And yeah, just glad that Bryce was able to just finally get that over with. Kron shouldn't fight in the UFC anymore, and yeah, just a complete layup for Bryce, to be honest, just to get a good bounce back. Because I mean, that Josh Emmett loss was brutal for him to take the loss away. He did that one punch knockout where he was, kind of convulsing on the ground. So I'll say it was a good bounce back for Bryce Mitchell just to be able to get the finish. But yeah, he needs to be fighting somebody who's actually on his level. And Kron Gracie is not that.
Yeah. Do you guys think Kron retires now? He's 36.
I just hope he doesn't fight.
He should be thrown in jail. He should be thrown in jail. That's what he should.
Oh no.
I was curious what happened to him. Something happened to him because he was fat 1 week, D-Rose, and then the last pay-per-view that I came to see you, he had lost like 50 pounds in a week. It made no sense. We're like, what happened? Like I fucking made the joke then. I was like, is he on like Ozempic this week? Like he lost so much weight.
Ozempic.
I think Bryce should go down to 135. He can make the weight and go on a run while he's grappling. I think he's mentioned before that he doesn't think that he could make the weight. No nonsense. Dev should shed weight quick. He really did. He really did. So moving on, dude. Nate Landwehr versus Duho Choi. Me and you both picked Duho Choi to get the knockout, and that's the way it went, dude. We just kind of both thought Duho Choi just throws the cleaner punches. You all right, dude? You're like you look like you fucking smell something bad.
I had a I felt my nose running out. I had a tissue sitting here and I can't find it. So
I was like, that's the face of a cat just now shitting the floor, and he's like,
yeah, nah, I'm definitely trying to find my. I'm gonna grab this shirt over here and just make it my face.
You're good, man. This was Choi's cleanest performance. It was nice. But with that being said, prelims, we'll run through these. Dom Reyes, Anthony Smith, we kind of already talked about that. Another one that saved me, dude, and I was so happy to see it at the weigh-ins. I messaged you, and I was like, dude, Themba Gorimbo is asking to get his ass whooped tomorrow, dude, because it's like he was being disrespectful to Vicente Luque. And, hey, that's one thing that you don't be, is disrespectful to the silent assassin, dude. And Vicente Luque went in there and fucking clobbered Themba Gorimbo. He fell down, wrapped up a Darce choke, dude. And I was like clapping at a part of the quinceañera that there was no reason to be clapping. I was just like, fuck yeah. Like, and everyone's like, I got a few like looks over at me, dude. I could not have been happier. Mostly because I actually did have a 3-leg parlay. It was Chase Hooper via sub, Randy Brian Battle to go to decision, and Vicente Luque via sub. I put $10 on that, I think like Thursday night, and I like hit for like 125. So on the 3-leg. So I was super happy because of that. But shout out Vicente Luque for, for mollywopping the fuck out of this dude, because this dude's head's been getting way too fucking big, in my opinion.
Yeah, well that, and just because I told you, I even told like a dog. This isn't what you told me this was supposed to be. This ain't what you told me this is supposed to be. But no, just because, I told you over Luque's last few fights, he just hasn't been himself. He just, has fought a little bit weird. Even in the win against RDA, he just wasn't really fighting like himself. And to see him kind of go out there. And now, did the fight go that long? No, it didn't. So had the fight gone a little bit longer and had he gotten pressure on him,
52 seconds.
Right, exactly. So, we didn't have enough time to actually see if we were going to see, maybe some of the signs of what we saw in that Buckley fight. But I was glad to see Luque, be able to kind of have a little bit of that old swagger back that he had, especially with that anaconda, or that Darce choke, dude. He's absolutely nasty with it. Once Themba Gorimbo shot in, I was like, oh yeah, that's over. It's locked in. It's Luque's like favorite choke, and honestly, he's so nasty with it. Yeah, I was definitely pumped for Luque to get that dub there.
Yeah, I'm so glad.
Gorimbo.
Yeah. One that, dude, I know me and you picked different here, and this really decided to pick champ right here for the week. Movsar Evloev versus Aljo. At the end of the fight, dude, I watched all 3 of these rounds. Once again, it was in silence, but I thought Aljo won. I think it was round 1 and round 3. But either way, I thought it came down to round 3, and I thought that if Aljo would have stood up there at the end of the fight instead of staying on his knees like the last 30, 45 seconds, I thought he probably would have won that fight, because it just looked like Movsar was just winning at the end of the fight in a close round. And that's kind of what sticks in the judges' minds last is, okay, close round, what happened last, who was winning last. So I guess I could see them giving it to Movsar. I personally thought Aljo won, but I did pick him, and I did have a couple bets on him, so I'm a little biased. But close fight, dude. Aljo looks good up at 145. Not gonna lie, but Movsar still in every fight, dude. He there's a few moments that are like, dude, how are you undefeated? You're not good. Like he just makes bonehead decisions sometimes, dude. And it's in every fight he makes a bonehead move. Like, why did you do that?
Like throwing the spinning back fist.
Like yeah, like look where you ended up at. You threw a spinning back fist and ended up on the floor. Like you just fell. Like you just
Yep.
yeah, I guess
that's absolutely crazy.
yeah. What's your thoughts on this fight? And did you think it was close enough, or did you think Mavsar won cleanly?
Well, I'm with you. I thought round one, clear Aljo round. You know, Aljo came out and, you know, was really putting on the pressure and aggression. He was throwing Mavsar around, which really surprised me. And then, you know, in that second round, I thought Mavsar was able, you know, he was able to land a little bit more in the striking. And then he used a little bit more of his, a little bit more top control. He was able to initiate the wrestling and the exchanges for the most part. Aljo did a good job always scrambling and staying, you know, always moving. So that way he was giving Mavsar a little bit of trouble with the control. But then I thought there in that third round, you know, as we were talking about when Mavsar throws that spinning back fist and he falls over, you know, Aljo gets the back and he does get some control. I thought the biggest thing that Aljo was just holding for the control and not really getting off any big ground and pound. I thought that if he was able to really, you know, he wasn't really able to kind of sprawl Mavsar out because Mavsar just kept moving and he always kept one arm tied up of Aljo, because I did hear Aljo actually talk about it after the fight, and he said that Mavsar's grip was so strong because he said that Mavsar would always lock one of his arms. So if Aljo wasn't trying to go with ground and pound on the other one, Mavsar could basically flip him over and you know, get back top position. So I thought there when it was like late in the scramble there, it was like a minute and a half left in the third round, and Aljo's basically reversing him, going to get up. And then he goes to take Mavsar's back, and he flips over, and that's when Mavsar is able to get the top position. I'm with you. At that point, Aljo had already had the control on the ground. Had he had just broken the exchange from each other and just stand up and keep it on the feet, I think that Aljo could very well win that third round and win that fight. I thought where he ended up going back in for the grappling exchange one more time. And I think it's just in his frame of mind, because that's pretty much what that whole fight was just consistent wrestling and pressure. You know, he falls right back into that trap. Mavsar gets him down. Doesn't really get too much ground and pound off, but was able to basically control Aljo for that last minute and a half of the round. And as you said, that lasting image is always what the judges ride with. And what I thought was an actual fun fight overall, because people were hating on this fight, I thought it ended up being a pretty fun fight, and I thought Mavsar did win rounds 2 and 3.
Yeah, and moving on to another close one, and then we'll just speed through these early prelims real quick, because we've already been talking about these for a few minutes now. Randy Brown, Bryan Battle, dude. Bryan Battle missed weight by 5 pounds. Randy Brown still took the fight though. Once again, watching this fight with no sound, dude, I thought Randy Brown won that fight. And when Bryan Battle got his hand raised, I was like, thank God, dude, because Bryan Battle was in a few of my bets. Like, they end up not hitting to begin with, but or at the end of the night. But you know, I did pick Bryan Battle to win the fight. I did pick Bryan Battle to win via decision, but watching the fight, dude, I was like, dude, I think Randy Brown's going to win this. And then Bryan Battle got his hand raised, and I was like, there might be some people talking about this one. What's your thoughts on this one, and what was, I guess, everyone saying?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that you know, I thought it was a super close fight. I thought that Randy Brown clearly won round 1, and I thought that Bryan Battle really came back out in the second round and responded well to a slow start there, and was able to kind of land a few more of his strikes. And then I thought in the third round, you know, that third round was really close. I thought that at the beginning of the round, Bryan Battle was really starting to take over. And then about at that halfway point, you could see it looked like Randy Brown's arms were getting tired mid-punch, but he was still throwing a bunch of big body shots and was trying to do everything he could to make sure that the judges would try to lean towards his side. But I thought what really kind of separated it there in that third round was that, and I believe the striking numbers were like basically identical in the third round. So it was almost just a matter of what the judges thought had more impact. because in terms of the numbers, they were virtually identical in the third round. I thought that Brian Battle was able to basically have a little bit more clinch control against the cage. And I thought his shots that he was landing were maybe a little bit bigger because it wasn't necessarily the body shots. He was landing towards the head, and that's what judges can see has the most damage. And I thought that's how Brian Battle was able to sneak that out there. But yeah, it just sucked that Brian Battle, missed weight so bad because, I would like to have seen if he could have made 170. He's saying that he can make 170 more consistently. I'm curious to see that because, man, if he's not able to make 170,
Dude,
I mean,
he's
is
never
a good fighter,
made
but
170. He's always made 171 and looked like death, dude. Can he get another pound off, dude? I don't know.
Now, he said it was a quick turnaround from the last fight, and it was a pretty quick turnaround because he just fought Juicy back in August, September, and then he turned right back around. And so I will give him that. It is a fairly quick turnaround from where his last fight was, but still in the same sense to miss weight by that much. I'm curious to see if he can get this weight cut under control to really be able to move forward because I think, 170, I think he could really have some potential. And as you see in some of his fights, but if he goes to the 185, I think he's going to really have some trouble because, man, he was a lot smaller than Randy Brown. I can only imagine how much smaller he's going to be than a lot of the big 185ers if he was to move up to 85. So I would like to see if Brian Battle can get this weight cut under control.
I agree. All right, let's run through these early prelims real quick. Eric Anders knocks out Chris Weidman, second round TKO. That was kind of funny. We can talk about that one for just a second because, dude, Chris Weidman just looks like it's just like who's telling him to go in there? Like it's like who's convincing him that he's good enough to get in there? Because for like 45 seconds he looks all right, and then like the realization comes like he's like, dude, why am I doing this? And just kind of gives up. Like, because dude, past 45 seconds in that fight, dude, Eric Anders was doing whatever he wanted with Chris Weidman. I've never seen Chris Weidman pull guard before, but he pulled guard in that fight, dude. I was just like, sheesh. I'm glad I made the correct pick and I did the pick flip. What's your thoughts on Chris Weidman, Eric Anders?
That was rough to watch because, it was just like, I mean, Eric Anders, he did look to be a little bit more aggressive because, as I mentioned before in his last few fights, he just kind of has this just slow kind of approach that we're not, he early on in his career, he was much more of an aggressive fighter. Now he's trying to be the clinch against the fence type of guy, trying to wrestle, but not being an effective wrestler. But yeah, Eric Anders really came out, was putting a lot of pressure on Weidman, was trying to land some big shots. I will say Chris Weidman did drop Eric Anders in the first round with that hook. I really think is once it gets past the first round, you can see Chris Weidman, his gas tank is just not the same anymore. He can still land a few good punches every now and then and whatnot. He's still good at, maybe hitting the bags or whatever. He might be good, but man, his cardio just goes by the wayside after that first round. And once Eric Anders had him on the ground, some of that ground and pound wasn't even that vicious. You could just see that Chris Weidman was just exhausted and was just like, all right, dude, like you can go ahead and he's covering up. That stoppage took way too long to happen because that fight should have been stopped, probably 45 seconds sooner because he was out of that fight and wanted nothing else to do with it. He just took a little bit more unnecessary damage than what he needed to. But
like it was almost like he was like, ref, stop it. And he was like, oh, okay. He's like, stop it, I'm done.
Somebody had to, somebody had to stop it. Like, if somebody gonna throw in a towel, ref, you're here to stop this fight. Can you please, because Weidman ain't gonna tap. He ain't gonna go like no bitch. But at the same time, hey, well, the ref stopped it, whatever. But I hated to see Weidman go out like that. But it was a good win for Eric Anders to kind of maybe try to see if he can get a little bit more of that swagger back. Because as he said, he just kind of wants to be in fun fights from here on out. And Eric Anders can provide a fun fight if he fights a little bit more aggressive like he did this past weekend.
Indeed. What's up, Austin? Glad you made it tonight, my guy. Austin, I'm very cool. Thanks, Dave. So let's speed through the rest of these. Cody Durden, Josh Van. I got to be honest, dude. I don't think I saw any bit of that fight.
Josh Van, dude, I'm telling you, look really good. Looked really good. Boxing was clean. Cody Durden, we know how good he's been in his last few fights. Josh Van pieced him up from the start to the end of that fight. Cody Durden started fast. Josh Van normally takes that first round off, but that second and third round was an absolute ass whooping. And I think one of the judges actually gave Josh Van a 10-8 there in the second round, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, really, really good performance from Josh Van. I know he kind of had that little bit of a scare against Edgar Chairez, had the loss against Charles Johnson, but really good performance this weekend. And, man, I'm definitely a fan of Josh Van, dude. I just wanted to give that a shout because that dude, that dude's a badass.
Dude, my streak of Cody Durden fights continues, man. It's like I think I've gotten one Cody Durden fight correct, and that was the one versus Matt Schnell. And that one gave me a heart attack because I picked Cody Durden under 1.5, dude. And that second round started, and my butthole was like, come on, Cody. Come on, Cody. Every other Cody Durden fight, dude, I cannot pick that fight correctly. I pick him to win, and he's going to lose. I pick him to lose, and he wins, dude. You need to pick the opposite of what I think in all the Cody Durden fights because I'm just consistently bad.
Dude, I'm telling you, though, I don't think it's more so I think of Durden. I think it's because Van. Dude, Josh Van is really good. He's 23 years old. He's already fighting, Cody Durden. I think he's ranked 14, so he's already going to be in the top 15 at 23 years old. Took a rough loss to Charles Johnson, but again, if he can kind of get the right matchmaking moving forward to kind of build, he's going to be good, man, because his hands are sharp. And, he just absolutely battered Cody Durden.
All right. Max Griffin, Mike Chiesa. This one hurt me, dude, because Max Griffin had never been submitted before, so I didn't think Mike Chiesa was going to, submit Max Griffin. And, dude, Michael Chiesa's, I'm not saying it was Kron Gracie level, but he was just kind of zombieing in, trying to get a hold of him. And, like, Max Griffin was kind of knuckling up Mike Chiesa, dude, and Mike Chiesa just zombied through it, dude. Ended up getting Max Griffin down, got the back, and choked him. And I don't really know if there's anything else besides that.
Yeah, pretty much that in a nutshell. But yeah, I thought that, dude, Michael Chiesa, how on God's green earth did that dude make 155? That dude is a giant at 170. I mean, dude, Max Griffin is not a small dude whatsoever. And dude, Michael Chiesa still towered over Max Griffin. So, dude, just to think that Michael Chiesa actually made 155 at one point in time is absolutely nuts. That dude is massive. But yeah, it was a good win for Michael Chiesa.
Speaking of someone don't know how they made weight, dude, Chase Hooper, dude, got some size on him at 155. Like, kind of makes you think, like, dude, how did he make 140? But you remember what he looked like then, and he was just a stick with no muscle
teenage
on him.
Boy's body. Yeah. Weight to make 145 at that point.
Yeah. He submits Clay Guida first round armbar. Nothing that we didn't expect there. I think it was pretty much too easy almost. And Kennedy knocks out Lucas Dretsky in the first round as expected. I think I maybe picked him by sub, but Kennedy won. I mean, he was a huge favorite. What are you going to do? With that being said, let me go ahead and eat these damn beans because I'm just kind of putting it off at this point. Hopefully this will be the last time I eat these beans this year. The only thing that makes me worry is that he takes no time off. Josh Van, Hooper is reinvented now.
We say that all the time.
Yeah. All right, D-Rose. Different picks this past weekend. We had 5 of them because it was pay-per-view. It was Shavkat versus Ian Gary. I went Shavkat. You went Ian Gary. It was Vicente Luque versus Themba Garimbo. I went Vicente Luque. You went Themba Garimbo. It was Aljo versus Mobsar. I went Aljo. You went Mobsar. It was Cody Durden versus Josh Van. I went Cody Durden. You went Josh Van. And it was Mike Chiesa versus Max Payne Griffin, where I went Max Payne Griffin and you went Mike Chiesa. So I won the 2 on the pay-per-view, but that don't matter when you won the 3. So the ones that overall matter out of the 5. So, if I would have picked Eric Anders, Chris Weidman over any of the other 3 fights
Durden
that I lost,
and Van probably.
That would have been
you
cool.
take Durden and Van out and put Eric Anders and Weidman in, you win. But that's the game, man.
Unfortunately, that ain't the way it goes. So for hopefully the last time this year, let's eat these damn beans. Yeah, and I gotta be honest, y'all. I think the beans have ran their course. So I think after next week, we're done. We're done with the beans. We're gonna find something for next year that'll be better. You know, maybe not as entertaining, but I
was gonna say
feel
maybe,
like it's
maybe
good
the
for my
boys throw out
overall.
some ideas too.
Yeah,
Maybe the boys throw out some ideas on what we can maybe do.
I don't think it's good for my overall health to be like throwing up here every single week. It's probably not good. So it's probably gonna be the last few episodes of Beans here. So this one is, I think, either going to be barf or peach. So that's fucking great. Shout out Food Lion this week. Shout out Food Line this week, freezer section.
Hey, if they want to come. They want to come be a sponsor. I'd stay up at Food Line.
Here we go. Oh, God damn it.
Oh no! Oh no,
dude! It tastes. I don't know if it's my puke that tastes like it or the bean that tastes like it, but it's the same.
Oh gosh, you can hear the chunks hit the bag. That's Steph Curry.
It tastes like I ate macaroni and cheese and threw it up.
Yeah.
I did have some broccoli cheddar soup earlier, so that's even fucking worse. So that's great.
That's probably what you're tasting right now, that cheese and then broccoli and cheddar soup.
All right, dude.
Hey, maybe Keith Peterson didn't do Ozempic. Maybe he ate a bunch of beans like these and just threw up and lost all the weight.
That's the green one. It's either going to be booger or juicy pear, so fuck me, right? Don't do this to me. I've already had a bad one, please.
Booger.
I don't like it. I don't like it. That is not pears and shit.
Was it pears?
It is not pears. It is not pears. It is not pears.
Booger.
Dude, it's like an old, dusty, fucking sawdust covered booger, dude. That's exactly what it tastes like. Like you pulled it out from underneath a desk, like a high school desk, dude. And the worst part is the flavor is only in the outside crunchy part. So I bit it, and it's just crusted in all of my teeth now. Like I didn't even chew that one up, dude. I just bit that one. I was immediately. I know the flavor.
I'm getting the chills thinking about it now. Oh, it's
dude,
rough.
this one's got some weight to it. This one's got some weight to it this week. That was an empty bag.
Oh, no.
That was an empty bag this week, brother.
Oh, no. That's going to have trash in there from the last couple of days. Ain't no way.
Did you just now see? I'm like, this is the Food Line bag, and it was empty when we started. That one's got some weight.
Gosh. Dude, that is rough. Oh, my gosh. Not the weighted bag. Bro, that's crazy.
You guys are gonna miss that. Hopefully D Rose is like wrong this week. That way you can get like one more D Rose reaction.
I'm gonna give you a shot.
Dude, there's no way.
I got some dogs this week we're gonna be looking at. You're gonna have a shot at beating me. But right now, the gold over here.
Dude, I swear, I don't know if there's been a good bean in that box, man. I think I got like the fucking the box of doom, dude.
He said it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. Out with the bag. Oh no. All right. All right, D-Rose. Let's get into some UFC news and fight announcements for this week. We did leave off last week, and I didn't know it was announced, but I guess it was. So we'll kind of pick up here
And I'm gonna go get some refill because I have the worst fucking taste in my mouth right now. So I'm gonna share this and yeah, let's talk about it. Or I'll let you talk about it. A fight announcement that happened last week, right before the podcast, but I guess we didn't see it until after the podcast. But it is Merab Dvalishvili versus Umar Nurmagomedov, and that is going to co-headline UFC 311. So that's going to be, is it 2 or 3 title fights on that card now?
I believe it's 2. Yeah, I believe it's just Usman, Umar Nurmagomedov versus Merab, and then Islam versus Arman Tsarukyan. So should be a damn good pay-per-view when you look at that lineup initially. And we have missed this fight being announced last week, but yeah, talking about the fight in general, should be a really fun fight. I mean, I really love the matchup just in terms of how their wrestling compare with one another. Of course, I think Umar is the more technical striker of the two, but we know Merab ain't scared to get in there and mix it up either. Merab's going to go in there, put on his forward pressure, do what he's got to do to exempt his game plan. And damage be damned, he doesn't care. And I think Umar, this is going to be his real first test. I know he fought Corey Sandhagen, but Corey Sandhagen was a little bit more reserved in that fight just because I think he was so cautious about the takedown versus where I think Merab's wrestling is and his defensive wrestling is so good to where I think he's really going to be able to counter that. And yeah, I think this is going to be a really good fight. Again, that pay-per-view is stacked from top to bottom. And yeah, the UFC is going to be looking to really kick this thing off with a bang to start the year.
I guess I thought that I heard that Tatiana Suarez versus Zhang Weili was also on this card, but I guess
no,
no.
Yeah, it's on the next one in February.
Gotcha. So my vote is Russian roulette next. I'll pass, Dave. I'll pass, man. How do you feel about UFC 310 as a whole? Zeros, good card.
Yeah, no, 310 this past weekend. No, I thought it was a good card. Again, that Bryce Mitchell Crone Gracie fight, that fight could have gone without being on the card, but other than that, I thought it was a good pay-per-view.
Yeah, and then in the meantime, what's your thoughts about, dude? Merab loves fighting with fans, dude.
Yeah, that dude's an absolute nut, man. Yeah, and I am with Dave. I did hear Dana make the comment about saying how Merab is his mini Strickland. He said less mouth, but just always causing him problems and stuff backstage. So yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. We've got Beneil Dariush taking on Money Moicano. That's going to be UFC 311, January 18th. Dude, Money Moicano to the championship. I said if he beats BSD, I have to pick him until he at least fights the championship, dude, because he just keeps winning. He can't afford to lose, man. So let's go, Money Moicano.
I love how it seems like he's really won you over.
Yeah,
well.
Dude.
It seems like he's really won you over.
Like I said, dude.
I'm not gonna lie, he's been won me over. I know I picked him in his last few fights. Just in terms of his fighting skill, and then him on the mic. I mean, him just, he's just on a whole different level now. And I think this is the perfect matchup for him in terms of getting up higher into the lightweight division. Beneil Dariush, obviously, he's got that big left hand, but man, in his last few fights, he just has not been able to take damage well like he's been able to in the past, and has been clubbed a little bit. Now, Hinata Moicano is probably not going to bring the most danger when it comes to the striking, but who knows? At this point, Hinata Moicano did hurt Alex Hernandez on the feet before submitting him. He is capable of hurting people on the feet, and I could see, Hinata hurting Beneil Dariush and potentially getting a finish here. So, but I do like the fight overall.
Yeah. He loves America. Yeah, and Benny D loves Jesus. So I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see who wins there.
I don't think that could be D if he loses. I think he's had too many fun fights, and he's kind of like that. Kind of like a UFC long stay guy. I think he might have maybe a few more fights left, but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Dariush retired either. He's kind of one of those guys. I was going to say that. Yeah, a little bit older now, taking a lot of damage. He's a family guy at this point. Got kids, got a wife. I wouldn't be surprised if he retired if he was to lose this fight.
And becomes a pastor because he loves Jesus. All right.
Spread the word.
Yeah, I do not give any shits about this fight. Adam Fugitt versus Islam Dulatov. No idea who that guy even is. We got Gene Silva versus Melsik Bagdasaryan. Dude, this is gonna be a banger of a fight. February 22nd, dude. The Gun. Melsik Bagdasaryan's fun fight. Super cocky. But he has really, really good striking, dude. But we all know about Gene Silva, dude. What's your thoughts on this fight being announced, man?
Yeah, no, this could potentially be a good fight, or it could potentially be. I'm trying to see. Okay, so it is a featherweight.
Yeah.
I could see Gene Silva blowing right through him, man. I mean, because as we've seen Josh Kulabau and some of his fights not make the best of decisions, and Josh Kulabau, he caught Melsik Bagdasaryan, but was able to get Melsik Bagdasaryan out of there pretty quickly. I just think in terms of the levels and where they're at, I think Melsik Bagdasaryan's kind of coming down, while Gene Silva is, he's obviously shooting up. And yeah, I think this could potentially be maybe a pretty easy finish for Gene Silva. He could do a club and sub or just sub him.
I think the worst part is the odds are going to be like minus 500, like for Gene Silva, when they shouldn't be. It should be like minus 150, minus 200, but we're not going to get that. They're going to be blown way out. So my immediate thought is, Melsik has a chance to win this fight via decision, dude. But I guess we'll see. Who is this? Ihor Peteria taking on Marco Tulio. That's UFC Vegas 101, January 11th. You care about that one? Why is Ihor Peteria still fighting?
Yeah, that's I'm surprised he's actually still in the UFC at this point. Yeah, I mean, it should be a solid fight, but I'm not super pumped about it.
All right, we got the return of Lazy Boy Ronaldo Rodriguez going to be taking on Kevin Borjas. That's going to be UFC Mexico, March 29th. What's your thoughts on that one?
Kevin Borjas cutting down to 125? Am I tripping?
Or was I thought he fought Josh Van already, no?
No, he fought C-Rod, right?
Let me see.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was C-Rod. It was either C-Rod or it was another boxer. Man, we watched someone. We watched
Alessandro Costa
together, I believe.
Alessandro Costa. Ain't he fought Josh Van? What the dude? He fought both. He fought Josh Van and Alessandro Costa. What are you talking about?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess he did fight Josh Van. No, I didn't. Honestly, I did not even realize that he had fought Josh. He fought Josh Van in the UFC.
Yeah, like his very first fight in the UFC.
Oh yeah, that was a little. Well, I'm not going to say a little bit ago.
It was last November.
Okay.
November 2023.
Yes, that was okay. So that was Josh Van. That he ended up fighting on the pay-per-view with John Jones, or I'm sorry, Aspinall. Was that the same one?
November 11th, 2023. It was 295 Prochazka versus Pereira. Yeah, with Aspinall versus Aspinall versus Pavlovich.
You just brought that back to me because I remember we were talking about Kevin Borjas going into that fight, and you were like, "Man, this is pretty good." And I remember Josh Van whomped him. Dude, that fight felt like it was forever ago because Josh Van has fought 4 times this year. So that fight feels like it was forever ago at this point. But I actually remember that and being impressed with Josh Van. But yeah, just all the wraparound to say Ronaldo Rodriguez will probably club him.
Yeah, maybe. I think they're trying to push Rodriguez. Yeah, he's for sure a fun fighter, dude. I love to listen to his interviews when I'm trying to learn Spanish because he talks slow enough to where I can kind of understand it. Yeah, so there we go. We got Tagir Ulanbekov versus Clayton Carpenter. That's going to be UFC 311. What's your thoughts on that one, dude? Clayton Carpenter's good, but Tagir's probably the least good of the Dagestanis. What's your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I'm with you, Tagir, about him being the less good of kind of like that Dagestani Habib type crew. But yeah, that should be a pretty good fight.
All right. This is one I was like, what the fuck? Who cares? Why I don't even know why either one of these are still in the UFC, if I'm going to be honest. We got Dylan Budka versus Edmund Shabazian, dude. UFC Vegas 102, February 15th. I guess Edmund wins this fight, but he's probably going to be minus 300 favorite.
Yeah. Yeah, every bit of. And I'm surprised Dylan Buckley hasn't been cut at this point. I'm assuming he's probably just going to fight out his contract. But yeah, I'm surprised he's even still in the UFC at this point.
The wild part is he was one of the guys that lost on the Contender Series and got signed to the UFC. Like he got a contract after like losing on the Contender Series. So
he took a fight on short notice though. Wasn't that what his thing was? He took a fight on short notice.
Yeah. Wait. Actually, maybe I think I'm getting that guy confused. I think he fought on the Contender Series at like heavyweight or some shit, and he fights all the way down at 185. I don't know. It was like something weird. Like I don't know. Let's get through all this shit from this past weekend. Yeah. Looks about right. Anyway, here we go. Dricus du Plessis versus Sean Strickland 2 is going to headline UFC 312 February 8th. Where's that going to be at?
It's going to be in Australia.
Why do they keep? That's such a dude. Why do they keep bringing this to Australia? It's the second time.
Yeah, I don't know. They love no. This first fight was in Canada. Their first fight was, but Strickland fought Izzy in Australia.
Oh yeah.
So I guess Strickland is a big star in Australia apparently. So they want to try to bring him back to maybe have home field. If he can't have it in North America, let's try to take it all the way to his second homeland in Australia. But yeah, it should be a good fight. Again, the first fight was super close.
Dude, I think Dricus crushes him this time.
Dude, I was going to say I actually liked what Dricus said on Twitter when he said, you know, the first time they called it a robbery, this time they're going to call it aggravated murder. And I'm like, dude, like Dricus might, you know, people can say whatever, like, dude, he's pretty witty and like when he talks shit, like, dude, he's a great shit talker, man. I love some of the deliveries that he has, and yeah, I'm going to favor Dricus as well, but I think it should be a good fight.
Yeah, I agree. I think Australia paid him too much money, like Utah and Abu Dhabi. Fair enough. Here we go. Also, UFC 312. We've got Zhang Weili versus Tatiana Suarez going to co-headline. I guess my question to you, D Rose, is: does Tatiana Suarez make it to the octagon?
That's the biggest question I think everybody has. Now the weird thing was that. You know, someone did question Dana White because you remember Tatiana was actually supposed to fight Verna Jandiroba. And then I think she was supposed to fight Amanda Lemos. And then all of a sudden, Suarez got pulled from the fight. So I'm sitting there watching the fights over the weekend. I don't know if you actually noticed it when they did it. But so they're doing like the crowd shots of everybody that's at the event. And they're showing, you know, certain fighters. You know, I think it was like, you know, Justin Gaethje. They're showing Bilal Muhammad. They're showing some actor. It was another baseball player, I believe. And then all of a sudden, they showed Tatiana Suarez. And then they put the caption at the bottom, slated to fight Zhang Weili for the UFC title at UFC 312. And I was like, and I literally jumped up off my couch and I looked at it and I was like, dude, did I read that correctly? I was like, they really said that she's going to be fighting for the title? And then all of a sudden, that's when they were like, well, breaking news. You know, how they tried to announce it. They tried to be real subtle about it, which I thought was funny. But I do think that, you know, it should be a great fight as long as Tatiana can make it. And the injuries has just been what's always held her back, unfortunately.
I mean, and I get it too, because, I mean, who else is really down there for Weili to fight? You know, I get it. Do you guys think Khamzat should have gotten the title shot first? I personally do, but, you know, my opinion don't matter. What about you, D-Rose?
Man, a lot of people are just wondering if Khamzat just has visa issues in general. Just that he's not able to really, you know, fight in too many places. That's, you know, Abu Dhabi, you know, they can kind of, you know, close a blind eye to some of the Ramzan Kadyrov ties. I mean, I'm not going to act like I'm the most influential person when it comes to that stuff because I don't keep up with other politics on you know, that's not really involved in America. For the most part, so I'm not going to be able to, you know, kick you all the knowledge on that. But I know they said that, you know, so much that Khamzat had Kadyrov's kids in his corner in his last fight. I just wonder if so many people are just going to restrict him from fighting with those types of ties to such a dangerous person. So yeah, I think it's just right that, Strickland and DDP, this is for business. We got to keep it moving. Go ahead and make this fight happen.
And do you guys think Suarez can go on a long title run at 24? I think she's really good. I just think it's just staying healthy. I just think she's just one of those people that maybe she trains too hard and just gets injured. Like, I know she's already gone through like cancer treatment too. So, gotta be honest, not the most fortunate girl in the world. So moving on from this past weekend, here we go. We got Christian Leroy Duncan going to be taking on Andre Pulev. Looks like he's from the Contender Series. You care about that?
No, not really.
Okay, move on. Why are we doing this? We got Justin Tafa taking on Taliesin Teixeira, UFC 312. Well, I guess. All right. Thoughts on that? You're the Tafa lover, not me, dude. I'm like, what? Wow, they're bad.
I mean,
dude.
I like watching them fight, but I mean, I don't even know who the dude who he's fighting at this point. I mean, as long as he's fighting in Australia, I mean, that's the that's where you got to put Tafa. And I mean, look, I mean, he's just a fun fighter just because he goes in there and he stands and bangs. So you got to appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, we got Jan Blachowicz taking on Carlos Alberg, UFC London, March 22nd. Ooh-wee. What's your thoughts on this one, man?
It's interesting, man. And I think this is the proper, I would say, ascension for Carlos Alberg at this point because, he's kind of taken he almost got the Jamal Hill fight too quickly, in my opinion, even though you could say, hey, Jamal Hill might not be as good or whatever. I'm talking about just in terms of him getting matched up with like the top 3 or 4 guys. I thought him getting the Volkan Oezdemir fight was a little bit of the proper climb up the ladder for him just to get the proper matchmaking. And Volkan Oezdemir is a super tough guy, and it wasn't super easy to put him away, just like Carlos Alberg had been putting everybody else away in his last few fights. So now I think it can ultimately prepare him to be in a fight with somebody like a Jan Blachowicz, who is not going to make it easy for him. His defense is really good. He's got dangerous leg kicks, and he's got a really good chin for the most part as well. So, yeah, he's not going to make it easy for Carlos Alberg, but man, I think it might not be the most exciting just in terms of how the fight plays out, but I think just in terms of how, just a technical chess match that goes on there, I think it could be one of those and really test both fighters.
Yeah. Let's see. I like heavyweights because even bigger, like 6'6". Good vintage on. He'll be tested in all areas. What I will be interested in, dude, is like after this fight, if Alberg wins, dude, Jan Blachowicz ranked number 4, dude. That puts him like could be next for a title shot, man. I could see.
I would say so. I mean, I don't. Even if Jamal Hill beats Yuri, if Carlos Alberg beats Jan Blachowicz and be on the win streak that he's on, I don't think there's any way that Carlos Alberg doesn't get a title shot.
Fair enough. Marcin Tybura McParkin, London, March 22nd. You care about that one at all? I'm excited for March 22nd because the past 2 London cards, dude, I've hit a sick parlay. One with 900 and one with 2,000. So I'm waiting on March right now.
Yeah, it should be a pretty solid fight, but I don't really care about it too much.
All right. Probably also going to be on the London card. Here we go. We've got Molly McCann taking on Estela Nunez. And I think this is one of the rows where, I was off Molly last London card when everyone else was on her. I did pick Bruno Brazil via decision, and that was pretty much the easiest money I made last year. It's like plus 500. This one, I got to go with Molly here. What's your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think the same thing. Estela Nunez is going to be a little bit smaller as well, and I think Molly. I mean, she looks, just as far as her muscles, she looks really in really good shape at 115, and she still carries a lot of her speed that she was able to carry down from flyweight as well. So. Yeah, I think I'm still going to like Molly in that fight, and hopefully she can bounce back, man, because, I love watching her after she gets a dub.
I think this is going to be Estela Nunez's first fight back after she got that nasty arm break against that fucking staff hole girl that like fucking acted like she did it. You know?
Oh yeah, when she threw
that
her
nasty
down.
ass.
And that's right.
Yeah. We got Alonzo Minaville taking on Umar Sy, London, March 22nd. I guess they're setting up Umar Sy here.
Maybe you just don't know how Minifield's going to fight. Really, that's going to be the big test. But yeah, it should be a setup for Umar C. But
They look like that
we'll
same
see.
body, dude.
Nah. That's just because they're standing right beside one another, dude. Yeah, Minifield, he has the build of he looks like Bobby Lashley. He's bricked up like big pecs. He looks like he should be in the WWE.
We got a fun one here. Jerry Cannonier taking on Hobo Cop, and that's going to headline UFC Vegas 102. Dude, they love put Jerry Cannonier in the Apex, huh?
Yep.
Jerry Cannonier Apex fight.
So is that in the Apex? Is the Apex going to be ready by then?
It said headlines UFC Vegas 102.
Yeah, because I just didn't know, because I know the Apex is going under reconstruction right now, so I didn't know if that was going to end up being in the actual Apex or not, if it was going to be done by then. But yeah, honestly, that's a really good matchup, and that fight's a coin flip to me. I mean, that's a banger, and both dudes got power, but both dudes can get hurt too. So I can see either one of them cracking the other one and going out.
Yeah, and I believe that is the last one that we have. D-Rose, anything that you know of that I missed?
No, I think we pretty much nailed all.
Let's see what we got people saying right here, and then we'll go ahead and get into the fights for this weekend. I don't know why Giannis still fighting. He's already a future Hall of Famer. I don't know. What about you, D-Rose? Jan Blachowicz?
You could maybe say future Hall of Famer just in terms of him being a former champ, but and he is a great fighter. I think the big thing for him was that the career turnaround that he had, because when he started in the UFC, he actually didn't start that well. Like Alexander Gustafsson had beat him, really wrestled him, and I think Jimmy Manuwa had beaten him, and he had actually had like a little bit of a rocky start coming to the UFC. Corey Anderson beat him at one point in time, made it look easy as well. And once Jan, I can't remember what fight it was, but it was around like 2017, 2018 or so. He had kind of started getting his swagger. Oh, he even lost, I think it was 2018. Thiago Santos had knocked him out, and as well. So that was another one that he had lost. Jan kept getting close and kept getting knocked back down. Hall of Famer is tough. He's got a long career. They may give it to him just because UFC is pretty selective about that stuff, though.
Yeah. Umar cracks rankings by 2027. I would just have to see more of them. I guess I haven't seen enough yet to be able to tell. How about you, Jared?
Yeah, same.
All right. Jared always gets a main event. Must be on his contract. That's a wild fight. Yeah. So with that being said, let's get into the fights for this weekend. We are in Tampa, Florida. Yeah. I would have liked to go to this one, I'm going to be honest. However, I've been traveling too much over the past couple months, and I can't afford to go, to be honest. And then Christmas is also like 2 weeks away too. So I will not be going to Tampa this weekend to watch these fights. I wish I could, but it's all right. It's all right. Let me share my screen and then we'll get into it.
It's not too late to buy a ticket, man.
Dude, they're probably not going to be too much either. If you look right now, you could probably get in there for like $100. Speaking of tickets, I actually went to a Spurs game. I think Sunday night, dude. It was $30 a ticket. It was like, but you could have got in there for like $8. Like, I thought it was just cool to go to.
That's probably like nosebleeds, like not the 30,
yeah.
The 8.
Dude. But I mean, like, the basketball court's pretty big. Like, the whole place, like, even if you were at the top, you probably would have still seen just fine. Like, it was, I don't know, like, it was a good time. Let's see here. There we go. How do you guys feel about Tapora wanting to move up to lightweight? Does it feel, does he give Islam a good fight? I personally don't think so, but Ilya's got power. That's that's his thing. Austin doesn't like it. I love how got another card with fans to go to the year. I can't wait to have Colby and Apex. Oh, goodness. All right. So with that being said, Rose, let's get into it. Taking place Saturday this weekend, December 14th. Prelims going to be, oh, god damn, dude. Prelims starting at 7 p.m. East Coast time. Why are they doing that to us? We got
prelims start at 7.
Yep, that's when it says.
Dude.
7 p.m. Yeah, so going to be taking place at the Amalie Arena. I believe that is where the Tampa Bay Lightning plays. Yeah, we got 13 fights to go over, so let's get into it. It's going to be headlined by Colby Chaos Covington taking on Joaquin Newmonts of Buckley. We got Killer Cub Swanson taking on Billy Quarantillo. We got Manel Starboy Cop taking on Bruno Silva. If you guys are nice, if you guys are good, maybe we'll get D Rose's Manel Cop impression tonight. So you guys, be nice in the chat. We got the Hanyak, Dustin Jacoby taking on Vitor Petrino. We've got Daniel Marcos taking on one of our favorite fighters, D Rose. We got Adrian Yanez returning. We got Navajo Sterling taking on Tuco Tucos. We got the menace, Michael Johnson. The only thing he has been a menace to is your bet slips here recently. He's going to be taking on one of the Potato Brothers. We got Ottoman Azatar. We got Drakkar Close taking on Joel Alvarez. And probably my biggest feel on this card is Joel Alvarez finishes Drakkar Close via submission, probably a Darce choke, something like Vicente Luque. And then we got probably one of my biggest dogs on the card that I like, and that's Fernando Padilla against Sean the Sniper Woodson, D-Rose. I'm a Sean Woodson fan. He is born ready, but they match up pretty well. So can't wait to talk about that one. We got Miles Johns versus Felipe Lima. You was on him when he fought last time in the UFC. We've got Miranda Fear the Maverick as a huge favorite against Jamie Lynn Horth on short notice because Miranda Maverick was going to fight Tracy Cortez. So, that ended up not happening. We got Davey Grant returning after God knows how long, fighting Ramon Tavares. And then we've got Pierre Rodriguez taking on Josephine Knutson. Fights that fell off this card were Amanda Hebus versus Mackenzie Dern, Saeed Nurmagomedov versus Daniel Marcos. So Adrian Yanez looks to be short notice as well. And then Ian Gary obviously got both this past weekend against Shavkat. So thoughts on the card as a whole, D-Rose? And are you excited for any ones in specific?
Yeah, there's a pretty stacked card this weekend for a TV card. I think the UFC is really going out on a strong note this year. For a TV card, I mean, shoot, you very well got to give this a B+, A-. I mean, it's right there in terms of name value. Some of these matches have pretty big stakes. Some fights that I'm a fan of. And fighters in particular. I'm a big Adrian Yanez fan. Happy to see him back this weekend. Davey Grant as well. So yeah, it's a banger of a card, man. So it should be a good one. Hence, I can stay up for the damn thing.
Yeah, and yeah, Antoine, I did get to see the Wembanyama. It was the game they were playing the Pelicans. I only stayed to about the third quarter because we had to call it Uber, and apparently if you try to Uber away from a stadium, it's a pain in the ass. So we kind of left there in the third, but I did see him. Like it was like the run up one-legged three. I was like, that's pretty sick, dude. It's so funny because he's like shoulders and head taller than everyone else on the court. It's like, dude, he's so tall. But he moves fine because like usually when you see dudes like that tall,
they're super
like they have trouble moving. Like their knees don't really work that well, or their hips don't work well, dude. But he's also an athlete too, so it's just odd to see. Topuria needs to beat Lopez before moving up to another division. I agree. Late night ahead of us, indeed. Born ready, and we got Miranda's having a baby after this fight. It's at least going to be a 2-year layoff. Yeah, I saw that. I love Ian Gary, but hate that he. I love that Ian Gary lost, but I hate that he looked great. I'm sorry, Austin. Sorry, brother. All right, D-Rose, let's get into it. We got Pierre Rodriguez versus Jamie Lynn Horth. First fight of the night. Oh, we got full odds. Wait, what am I? I said Pierre Rodriguez versus Jamie Lynn Horth. That's not who's fighting. We've got Pierre Rodriguez versus Josephine Knudsen, whichever one it is. Pierre Rodriguez is 9-2 overall. She is 32 years old, 5'3" and a 63.5-inch reach, while Josephine Knudsen is 8-0, 28 years old. Josephine Thunder Knudsen, 8-0, 28 years old, 5'3" and a 60-inch reach. Currently, the odds for this fight are minus 238 for Josephine Knudsen and plus 195 for Pierre Rodriguez. Dude, Pierre Rodriguez, I would categorize her as a fun, tough fighter. Skillful, not so much. And I think that's where she's just going to run into issues this weekend. We know how good Josephine Thunder Knudsen is. She's got fantastic striking, not quite Karine Silva levels, but she is good. Trains with Hamzat. She's got solid grappling. The only issue that I've maybe seen is that if she does get taken down, she will play a little bit off her back. But going against Pierre Rodriguez, in her last fight, she was doing good against Ariane Carnelossi until she headbutted Carnelossi. Mark Smith was like, "Hey, watch the headbutt," and she was like, "You want me to headbutt? Okay." Wham! and then got disqualified. She was
and
winning
then
that
got mad
fight.
about it. Had the audacity to get mad about getting disqualified when you're clearly headbutting her.
So,
Idiot.
which brings me to say is I don't think Pierre Rodriguez is going to have the fight IQ to do what she needs to do to win positions and moments against Josephine Knudsen. So that being said, give me Josephine Knudsen to win this fight via decision. Which way are you going here, D-Rose?
Yeah, I think this one. It's a well matched fight. I think Josephine Knudsen and Pierre Rodriguez. I think they're both strikers for the most part. I just think that Pierre Rodriguez is kind of a little bit more that brawler type, and that she is a little bit more willing to go for the takedown as well. But I think Josephine Knudsen, I think she's a little bit more kind of the technical type of striker. Now she does have good striking. There's times where it seems like she might have a girl hurt, and I don't know if she doesn't have great finishing instincts or whatnot. But I think it was against Mark McMahon where it looked like she might have had her hurt, and then went to like clinch her against the fence, which was weird. But yeah, I think Josephine Knudsen, the more technical striker, should be able to get it done by decision. So let's go Josephine Knudsen here.
All right, we got Pubes Transplant MMA saying hello to everyone. What's going on, Pubes Transplant?
What up? What up, Pubes?
Yeah, you should ride with Spurs over the next 10 years. He's going to be the face of the NBA, like the league. How LeBron let the GM build. Yeah, maybe, but yeah. I like this. I like to watch the Spurs. They're fun. I like to watch Jeremy Sochan. I actually did call him booty shorts last year because for some reason his shorts were always like hiked way up, and that's how I knew who Jeremy Sochan was last year. But he's got green hair this year, so the green hair guy is who I can refer to him as. Moving on to the next fight, we've got me and D Rose both on Josephine Knudsen to win this fight via decision. Odds for that is currently minus 175. So looks like we're not the only ones. Next fight, we got dangerous Davy Grant taking on Ramon the Savage Tavares. Davy Grant, 13-7 overall, 38 years old, 5'8", 69-inch reach. Ramon Tavares, 10-2 overall, 30 years old, 5'8", and a 70-inch reach. Currently odds for this fight, minus 115 for Davy Grant, minus 105 for Ramon Tavares. D-Rose, you are a dangerous Davy Grant fan. Left Hook Larry, some may call him. So I'm gonna let you go first here, dude.
Yeah, the dude, he is an absolute fun fighter to watch. He's going to go out there and just wings hooks. But dude, his hands are so fast, and he's just out there just throwing absolute heat every time. And I think for Ramon Tavares, as we saw in his last fight against Sergey City, like dude, he's definitely willing to bite down, take some damage. And he can also dish the damage out on the feet. That was a really close fight with him and Sergey City as well. Good fight.
That was the second time that happened too.
Right. That's what I was going to say. The rematch coming off of the Contender Series as well. So because he had protested the early stoppage, they ended up making it happen in the UFC, and he ends up getting a split decision win, which is good. The only thing I want to see is that it looks like Davey Grant, I guess he had been taking some time off over the last year or so because where he had been injured. So he hasn't fought in over a year since July of last year, to be exact. So that's going to be
a fight that I thought he could have won, dude.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, I thought he won as well, and a lot of people thought Davey Grant had won that fight. But him being 39 right now and coming off these injuries is a little bit concerning. But I do think Ramon Tavares does take a little bit too much damage, and I think with Davey Grant still having the quick hands, I still think he should be able to get the job done. So I'm going to go Davey Grant here by decision, and yeah, I think Davey Grant gets it done.
All right, D-Rose. We're gonna have our first different fight of the night here, which I'm not mad at. It is -105, -115. But the only reason why I am split here is partly because of what you mentioned. This fight will be Saturday, and 2 days from now, Davey Grant will be 39 years old. So that age isn't a good look, especially at bantamweight. Damn near 40 years old at bantamweight, never a good look. And what's the rust going to look like, for being off the past 2 years? And D-Rose, if I was to ask you, well, what's Davey Grant good at? What are you going to tell me?
Winging them hooks, baby.
Exactly.
Winging them hooks.
It's winging hooks. And dude, Ramon Tavares might actually be the best pure boxer in the UFC, dude. Like, he actually has I think a pro boxing record too. He's got really clean hands and solid defense. And I don't think Davey Grant is going to have the tools to get around the defense. And I think the straight shots from Ramon Tavares is going to get the job done. So I think Ramon Tavares probably knocks out Davey Grant sometime later in the second round, just because Davey Grant can't get the correct timing, and he probably gets dropped, I'm going to say 3 times over the first 2 rounds, and then the fight just gets caught off because no more damage needs to be done. So give me Ramon Tavares to win this fight via second round knockout. Let me get our picks written down here. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, I could see it. Davey Grant. I mean, the only thing, when Cheeto was on his run, and when Davey Grant fought Cheeto, then Cheeto put a lot of damage on Davey Grant, but Davey Grant was just standing there with blood just gushing down his face and was still throwing big shots. So I still do think that
it was those elbows that Cheeto landed 6 elbows in a row on Davey Grant, right?
He was spearing him with them. He was just throwing them out there like that and just absolutely crushing them with them. But yeah, that's when Cheeto was on that run where he was just killing everybody.
Yeah. All right. So our first different pick of the night, D-Rose on Davey Grant. I am on Ramon Tavares. So up next, we got Miranda Fear the Maverick taking on Jamie Lynn Horth. Miranda Maverick is 14-5 overall, 27 years old, 5'3" and a 65.5-inch reach, while Jamie Lynn Horth is 7-1 overall, 34 years old, 5'7" and a 66-inch reach overall. Jamie Lynn Horth is taking this fight on short notice, as we know, but I think she's had 9 weeks to prepare or something like that. So enough of a notice where she can be in shape. Currently odds for this fight, oh my God, are -550 for Miranda Maverick and +410 for Jamie Lynn Horth. I don't do you hear me just making noises? I don't even know. I'm picking Miranda Maverick to win this fight, but at -550, dude, it's there's no value to win. I don't think she finishes Jamie Lynn Horth. Miranda Maverick via decision is -280, dude. What are we doing? I'm not even going to put that in a parlay, just because it's I don't even know how to approach putting money on this fight, because Jamie Lynn Horth is a tough girl, but she's just kind of plodding, just kind of walks forward, almost like a Jazz Devicius that's not as athletic or technical. And that's saying something, because Jazz isn't that really athletic or technical either. But Jamie Lynn Horth is just kind of like a few steps down from that. So give me Miranda Maverick to just stay on the outside, kind of piece up Jamie Lynn Horth for the most part, all 3 rounds, maybe get a takedown here or there, but Miranda Maverick via decision. But D Rose, for probably the first Miranda Maverick fight in a while, I don't think I'm going to be betting this one just because could go wrong, dude. And at minus 550, I had to look myself in the mirror and explain to myself why I put that in my parlay after I told myself not to.
Yeah, that would be one that, minus 550, you get almost nothing on the boost for the parlay. So it's like, yeah, if you put that in and it loses, just an absolute gut punch there. So no, I definitely feel you there. And I do think I won't prolong on this fight. I do think that Jamie Lynn Horth, she's got some abilities. She's a pretty good kickboxer for the most part, but I do think that her takedown defense is okay. But I do think that Miranda Maverick is going to be the better wrestler. Obviously, she's going to be the smaller girl, so Miranda is going to have to work her way in. Not landing the biggest shots in the world, but she's pretty good at throwing combos together, working her way in the range. Miranda Maverick is, and I think Maverick gets a decision here. So yeah, let's go Miranda Maverick by decision.
Yeah, shout out Miranda Maverick, the first UFC fighter that I ever met. So always got a soft place. Always got a soft place for Miranda, fear the Maverick. Yeah. So moving on to the next fight. It looks like we have one that we don't have a ton of odds for, but we do have at least the money line odds. We've got Miles Chapo Johns taking on Felipe Jungle Boy Lima. What a crazy fight name. Anyway, Miles Chapo Johns, 15-2 overall, 30 years old, 5'7" and a 66-inch reach. Okay. Something's throwing me off, but we'll talk about it in a second. We got Felipe Lima, 13-1 overall, 26 years old, 5'6" and a 68-inch reach. So, D-Rose, Felipe Lima came into the UFC short notice last time against Muhammad Naimov, right? And won that fight via third round sub after kind of not looking the best in the first 2 rounds. Felipe Lima usually fights at 135 before that fight on short notice. This fight is also at 145, but Miles Johns is also taking this fight at 145. But I remembered that he was going to fight Cody Garbrandt a few weeks ago at 135, so I guess it makes sense that he don't want to cut all that weight twice, or I don't know what's happening here. So
that would make
with
sense.
That being said, dude, it's just kind of a lot going on here for me to say. I really don't have the strongest read on this fight, but dude, Miles Johns is a good fighter. He seems to just win. I don't know how to explain it. He looks like he's losing, but he still ends up winning, dude. And another thing to take away from this fight is, and it's kind of something that I say every time Miles Johns fights, he is a wrestler at heart, dude. When he strikes, he gets tired striking, which is odd to say because with the muscle build that he has, you would think, he's going to exert all of his energy wrestling, but that's truly not the way it is. He's the most comfortable when it comes to the wrestling. And truly, Miles Johns is basically Yoel Romero at 135 pounds. This is going to be at 145 pounds, but I'm just going to go with the UFC vet here. Probably don't feel great about it. Probably won't have it in any bets. If I bet this fight at all, it'll probably be like the over 1.5 or something like that. Maybe the fight to start round 3, but we don't got odds for that yet. Miles Johns currently plus 210, the underdog. Felipe Lima minus 258, the favorite. Give me Miles Johns to win this fight via decision. Which way are you going here, Deros?
Yeah, I think this fight it's a
Dude, Miles
lot
Johns
more
gonna be
closer
the
to what
bigger
the odds are.
guy. That's that's throwing me off too. He's taller. Miles Johns is never the bigger guy.
Yeah, no, that is one thing. Miles Jones is never the taller dude. So what I'm looking at for Bet ESPN right now in terms of the odds, they have Felipe Lima at minus 245, and
they have it
plus
258
200
from DK.
So yeah, I'm surprised that it's that big of a line. I mean, I know Muhammad Naimov was a pretty good win for Felipe Lima, and stepping down to Miles Johns, I guess you could say I don't want to say a step down in competition because Miles Jones is good, but I'm just surprised that the line has swung so much in Felipe Lima's favor. But I do think that, for me personally, I do think that he does have the more well-rounded skills. Now, I will say that Miles Jones is the guy that has the more power. And I think he's a better offensive wrestler, but I don't know if he's great with control necessarily, Miles Jones. And he does have big power punches when he lands. He can go to the body, go to the head. He can land pretty sharp for the most part, but he doesn't really have great kicks. Where I think Felipe Lima can use his kicks and maintain the range and be able to work his way in the range and be able to add it up in terms of when the round passes by. I think Felipe Lima should be able to get the job done here. I think he gets it done by decision. Miles Jones is a tough dude to finish, but I think Felipe Lima, I think you can see a well-rounded tool game here for him in terms of using the wrestling and then the striking as well, being able to kind of chain it all together and get a tough, gritty win here against Miles Jones. So give me Felipe Lima by decision.
All right. So it's our second different pick of the night. D Rose on Felipe Lima. I am on Miles Jones. Don't feel great about it though. And Antoine saying I think Lima has incredible fight potential. And speak of Yoel Romero, did you see him in Mike Perry's promotion the other night? I hope he got paid good. You fought like a fucking gas station worker or some shit.
Yeah, they fought in like some car garage or something like that. They just ended up taking a ring and dragging it over into. It was weird.
Speaking of ex-UFC fighters, the Rose, I forgot one bit of news that I will bring up after we're done with the fight picks. I just now had to find it one more time. So, but I'm glad I found it because pretty big news, and I can't believe it slipped my mind. So, the second different pick of the night, I'm on Miles Jones, the Rose on Felipe Lima. We'll move on to the next fight. We got Sean the Sniper Woodson taking on Fernando El Violente Padilla. Sean the Sniper Woodson is 12-1-1 overall, 32 years old, 6'2" and a 78-inch reach, while El Violente Fernando Padilla is 16-5 overall. He's 27 years old, 6'1" and a 76-inch reach. Currently, odds for this fight are -155 for Sean Woodson and +130 for Fernando Padilla. D Rose, this is one where I don't know if Sean Woodson is going to be used to fighting people that have basically his same size down at 145. I'm sure he trains with people, that are bigger than him. But when it comes down to a fight, like throwing full power punches down at 145, I don't know if he's ever fought someone as big as Fernando Padilla is and can dish out the power that Padilla can. So, I usually pick Sean Woodson in these fights, dude. But something tells me, hey, the dog's winning this week. Go Fernando Padilla. And I do love me some Mexican fighters. Another thing to take away is Sean Woodson's a boxer, man. But the issue is I haven't, aside from Terrence McKinney, dude, I haven't ever seen him really hurt anyone, dude. So it's like, I don't know if Sean Woodson's got the power to get Fernando Padilla out of there, even if like Padilla is like walking face first into shots. So that being said, give me Fernando Padilla. Let's go decision. Fernando Padilla decision for me. What about you, D-Rose?
Yeah, I think this one's a well-matched fight, and it's really tough to choose for me. I remember picking Padilla. I think he was one of the ones that actually helped decide the pick champ against Julian Erosa, and I, didn't really know too much about him going into it. I just knew that Julian Erosa gets hit a lot, and I know you had made the joke about it afterwards. But it was every single right hand that Fernando Padilla had thrown, it just landed on Julian Erosa, and just absolutely crushed him. And for Sean Woodson, we know he's got pretty good boxing. He's going to be, his body type is so weird. He's just tall and lanky, and like his legs are super long and his torso is short. But I don't know. He just has like this funny build especially for the weight class. But man, he's a really good fighter. And I do think Fernando Padilla is a good fighter as well. And what I think this fight comes down to for me is that, and we always recall it back in Sean Woodson's fight with Luis Saldana. when Saldana, ended up walking off after he had completely rocked Sean Woodson. Sean Woodson really struggles with people who can mix kicks well into their game, when they can mix body and head and leg kicks and stuff like that. Because Sean Woodson, he's good at maintaining range, but he's kind of plotty with his footwork. But I think Fernando Padilla, he's not really going to be throwing too many kicks for the most part, to where I think he's going to be putting Sean Woodson in danger. Fernando Padilla, when he fought Kyle Nelson, threw almost no leg kicks, and I think that was really the big thing, because Kyle Nelson was really just able to get out of the way of most of the big shots from Padilla and just land a few in what he needed to do to get the job done. And Sean Woodson defensively, for the most part, is pretty decent, especially when it comes to just pure boxing. So I think Sean Woodson has the tools to get it done and the level of competition to this point. I think he should be able to get it done by decision. So give me Sean Woodson here.
All right. Kind of a switch up for us. Did you expect me to go Padilla this week, or did you think I was going to be on Sean Woodson?
No, I actually thought you were going to pick Sean Woodson. I was not expecting a Padilla pick. So yeah, that really surprised me.
Yeah. Another thing I've seen, Padilla's got really good submissions too, dude. So maybe even could wrap up a neck. Sean Woodson's got a big ass head. If he gets his arm underneath that chin, dude, that's stuck under there.
I mean, it is a big old gallon. I would say, as one who had the big gallon himself, I can attest to that.
All right, we'll move on to the next one. We got Drakkar Klose taking on Joel El Phenomeno Alvarez. Drakkar Klose is 15-2-1, 36 years old, 5'9" and a 70-inch reach, while Joel El Phenomeno Alvarez is 21-3 overall, 31 years old, 6'3" and a 77-inch reach. Currently, odds for this fight -440 for Joel Alvarez and +340 for Drakkar Klose. I'm going to be short here. Give me Joel Alvarez to submit Drakkar Klose after probably hurting him a couple times on the feet. Drakkar Klose going to maybe go in for a submission, and we see Joel Alvarez wrap up a head and arm, DARS, some form of choke, but going to choke Drakkar Klose unconscious this weekend. And I don't know if I said it, but odds for that is currently +165 Joel Alvarez via submission. What's your thoughts on this one, D-Rose?
Yeah, man, I think this one is clearly a matchup of styles, and Joel Alvarez does have good submission, does have a good submission game, don't get me wrong, but he does set it all up with the striking, and he's super duper sharp. And for Drakkar Klose, we know his type, wrestle boxer type. He wants to work in range. Here lately in his last few fights, he's been wanting to use his boxing more than his wrestling, which is surprising to me. But I do think people forget that he is, in his background, a wrestler. Now, Joel Alvarez is really good with stuffing the takedowns for the most part, as you've seen in his last few fights. But I will say, for someone like an Elvis Brenner, isn't necessarily a super takedown artist, I would say, versus where I think Drakkar Klose can use that good old American wrestling, man. Work on the inside and maybe get some takedowns here. Give me Drakkar Klose here. I'm going to take Drakkar Klose here by decision. I think he can get it done. I think he's going to really try to work his way in the range, but I think Drakkar Klose can get it done, man. So give me Drakkar Klose by decision.
Let me ask you this. Do you think Drakkar Klose is currently a better wrestler than Mark DeCasey is currently a better wrestler? Because, dude, D1 DeCasey, his technique has just been... I've been on him a lot. I actually think I might have picked him to beat Joel Alvarez because I was like, I know he can get him down. I'm not sure Drakkar Klose can get Joel Alvarez down.
Now, here's the big thing is that Drakkar Klose actually beat Mark DeCasey with the wrestling.
But that was before D1 DeCasey, though.
Right. But exactly. But my point is to say that, D1 DeCasey was born from Drakkar Klose, who used his wrestling against him. So I do think that there's going to be a step above when it comes to, Drakkar Klose does have really good wrestling. I think he fell in love with his hands his last few fights. But I think at this point, I think if he comes in with a more wrestle heavy game plan, I definitely think he can get the job done. So let's go. Give me Drakkar Klose.
All right, fair enough. Did you see this comment? That Tapology is fire considering the guy's podcast name. Look at this in gold. We trust it right here in gold.
That is pretty dope. That is pretty dope. That's good timing. I mean, it could be another logo or anything like that. I mean, that's pretty fire.
All right. So me and D-Rose split on that one. I am on Joel Alvarez, D-Rose on Jakar Close. We'll move on up to the next one where we've got Michael, the menace to your parlays, Johnson, taking on Potato Power, or the Ottoman, the bulldozer for the potatoes, Azatar. Michael Johnson, dude, basically 500 at this point, 22-19 overall. 38 years old, 5'10", 73-inch reach, while Ottoman Azatar, 13-2 overall, 34 years old, 5'8", and a 71-inch reach, dude. Just like the Miranda Maverick fight, dude, I can't put this in my bets and feel good about it, if I'm going to be honest. Like, it's one where Michael Johnson is probably going to be winning every moment of this fight until he gets hit with a potato punch and just gets knocked out, dude. Like, it's sad to say, because Michael Johnson at one point was like one of the most devastating finishers in the division, and he still has fast hands. I just don't know if the power's there, dude, because he couldn't finish Darius Flowers, dude, and Darius Flowers is just
tough. He's just
not good, dude. Like, he's just not good. Ottoman Azatar, if there's one thing that he can,
Michael Johnson doesn't have power, like you said.
Huh?
Like you said, Michael Johnson doesn't really have the power. So, I mean, him putting with Darius Flowers, I wouldn't hold that against him, because he's never really had that power to begin with. His game's been more based off speed than power.
Yeah, but then he had him in a few submissions too, and it's like, come on, Michael, you can do it. You can do it, brother. I just don't feel the greatest about Michael Johnson at this point anymore. And then on the other hand, Ottoman Azatar, it's like the only way he's going to win is by knockout. But that's probably the only way Michael Johnson's going to lose this fight. So give me an Ottoman to knock out Michael Johnson at some point in this fight, I guess. But I'm not going to be betting this fight. Which way are you going, D-Rose?
Yeah, I'm actually surprised. I thought you were going to go Michael Johnson here. It's so tough calling a Michael Johnson fight just in terms of betting. I mean, I've called a few of his fights correctly in turn. I remember picking Clay Guida against Michael Johnson. I remember you were killing me for that, saying that Michael Johnson was going to go out there and kill him. And then Clay Guida ended up going out there and basically just wrestling him to a decision. Yeah, so I was not, and Michael Johnson was a significant favorite going into that fight as well. So I remember actually hitting a bet on Clay Guida for that. Now for Ottoman Azatar, good power in his hands, but he only wins by first round knockout. And I think for Michael Johnson, I think his defense is going to be a little bit more clean, especially early on in the fight. So give me Michael Johnson here. I think he can maybe get a third round. Maybe if I'm betting this fight at all, I might do Michael Johnson round 3 or decision. I think you can maybe see Ottoman Azatar maybe get tired as the fight goes, and you can just see one of those kind of just tired give up KOs. But let's go Michael Johnson here.
All right, another different pick. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna have something to pick from. I only got to pick 3 here, so I might clean sweep D-Rose this week. Let's see. Not putting that one in there. I'll tell you that. I'm not putting that one in there.
Come on.
Up next, we have Navajo Sterling taking on Tukos. What a name. Navajo Sterling, 5-0, trains with Izzy at City Kickboxing. 27 years old, 6'4", and an 82.7-inch reach. Get a big ass reach, dude. Tukos is 10-4 overall, 34 years old, 6'4", and a 76-inch reach. Currently, odds for this fight -750 for Navajo Sterling and +525 for Tukos. I mean, I guess give me Navajo Sterling to win this fight via knockout, but I mean, at 750, I will pass on betting it. Currently, Navajo Sterling via knockout is -185. That's what I expect to happen. Which way are you going here, D-Rose?
Yeah, it's gonna be, like you said, gonna be tough to play this thing here. But it does seem like kind of like a setup fight for Navajo Sterling here. You know, he's got good power, obviously coming out of CKB. But yeah, give me Navajo Sterling here, and I'm with you by let's say second round knockout.
All right. Moving on to one that we should have some opinions on. We've got Daniel Marcos taking on Adrian Yanez. Daniel Marcos, 16-0 overall, 31 years old, 5'7" and a 69-inch reach, while Adrian Yanez is 17-5, 31 years old, 5'7" and a 70-inch reach. Currently, odds for this fight plus 180 for Adrian Yanez, and Daniel Marcos is minus 218, your favorite. Over under set at 2.5 on this one, minus 135 for the over. Under is plus 105. I don't hate the over here, D Rose. I'm going to be honest, because we are Adrian Yanez fans, but we would both be liars if we didn't say that he didn't let us down in maybe the last two fights. I know he did win his last fight against, Vinicius Salvador, dude, but that dude's ass. And, that fight, I've come to terms with that Adrian Yanez maybe isn't the boxer that we thought he was. He's a solid, puncher. He's fast. He's got crisp hands. But I think his boxing skill overall, maybe his offensive boxing skill is good, but I don't think his defensive skill is the greatest, to be honest. And, dude, if he don't find a way to start checking these leg kicks, dude, it's going to continue to be an issue, because Daniel Marcos also has pretty solid leg kicks. I truly have a tough time picking this fight. I think it's about a 50-50 fight. So being a 50-50 fight, give me Adrian Yanez at plus 180 to win. But it's another one, dude, where I don't feel comfortable picking a side, but I don't hate the over because I do expect it to go over. And dude, unless Daniel Marcos starts kicking Adrian Yanez's legs, and in that case, dude, I don't know. I don't know if it goes all three. But give me Adrian Yanez to win via decision. Which way are you going here, man?
Yeah, I do think this one's a well-matched fight. And, Adrian Yanez, as you said, being a fan of him, it was unfortunate to see him go through that 2-fight losing streak against Jonathan Martinez and Rob Font. But I think, he even said it coming out of that Rob Font fight, out of the Martinez fight, that, one of the big things was that when he went into that Rob Font fight, he didn't respect Rob Font enough. So he kind of just walked forward and just didn't care what Rob Font was going to throw at him. He just wanted to try to land a nice slick counter shot and get the finish. And obviously paid the price for it, just, walking forward and getting reckless. And then in the Martinez fight, he got kind of a little bit more reserved, and that played right into Martinez's hands, because as you see, Jonathan Martinez could kick a heavyweight's legs, and he's probably going to take him out, because that dude's leg kicks, Jonathan Martinez, for as much as I can say that he's not the greatest fighter in the world, his leg kicks are absolutely nasty, and he lands us at will. So I think Adrian Yanez took a step back, ended up getting chopped up in that fight. Said that he had learned that lesson, and that's why he kind of stepped on the gas in that Vinicius fight and his last fight. And yeah, I think Daniel Marcos, good fighter overall. Good boxer wrestler type, I would say. For more my opinion, he's got some kicks, but his kicks aren't the most dangerous. And I think where you can really get him is with the pressure. And I think for Davey Grant, again, I thought Davey Grant beat Daniel Marcos. I'm not doing MMA math here, but Adrian Yanez did beat Davey Grant in a similar fight where they just kind of dog fought it out. I think if Adrian Yanez can make it a dog fight, I think Adrian Yanez gets a dub here, and I think he does. I think by decision. So give me Adrian Yanez.
All right, me and D Rose both on Adrian Yanez by decision. He as the dog, so just like every week, me and D Rose both on a dog. Probably not going to turn out the best for us. Gonna be honest.
That's how it happens every time.
Sad to say. All right, up next we've got Dustin the Hanyak Jacoby taking on Vitor Petrino. I'm not going to try to say that, whatever that is. So Dustin the Hanyak Jacoby is 19-9-1 overall. He is 36 years old, 6'3", 76-inch reach, while Vitor Petrino is 11-1 overall. 27 years old, 6'2", and a 77.5-inch reach. Currently, odds for this fight minus 305 for Vitor Petrino, and plus 245 for Dustin Jacoby. Over under on this one is also set at 1.5, over 1.5 minus 210, under 1.5 plus 160. I guess first off, I don't mind the over 1.5 here because Vitor Petrino doesn't really put his foot on the gas too much. However, Dustin Jacoby's just looked like shit in his past few fights, just going out there and getting fucking knocked out. Like the sooner he gets knocked out, the more he gets paid. I don't know, just not the best look. So I'm got to go Vitor Petrino here. And to be honest, at minus 305, I think he's a solid parlay piece to just straight up Vitor Petrino. Probably finishes Dustin Jacoby at some point in the fight. I'm gonna go. Let's go late second round knockout Vitor Petrino. Which way are you going here, D-Rose?
Yeah, I think this was a tough fight to call. I'm not gonna lie, because Dustin Jacoby, as you said, has not looked great in his last few fights. I mean, I could say that I did pick Justin Jacoby going into that Dominic Reyes fight, but I mean, I think we could just say that Dominic Reyes might be, I'm not going to say back, but he's definitely kind of recovered from those chin issues that he had early on that losing streak that Reyes had. And I think for Petrino, dude, I never picked him in a fight except for against Anthony Smith, to Antoine's point. And that's the one fight that I pick him to win, and he loses. So I'm going to continue my streak. I'm not picking Vitor Petrino because I'm not going to lie. To me, he's got power, but he's just a big muscled up guy who's just out there throwing his weight around. And if he's not the hammer, dude, he is a terrible nail. And I think if Dustin Jacoby can avoid the storm early, I think Dustin Jacoby can maybe even clip him later in the fight. Or Dustin Jacoby does get to the point to where he'll sometimes try to use wrestling at random times too, as he tried to against Mirzakhanov. And I think Dustin Jacoby can actually go ahead and get the dub here. Give me Dustin Jacoby.
All right. Big dog there. Big dog, D-Rose. All right. Dude.
I told you I'm giving you a chance.
Dude, one of us this
I'm
week.
gonna clean sweep you.
Dude, one of us this week are going to win a shit ton of money, and the other one's going to be pissed off. because we're both on a few
dogs. Picks that I'm picking either. I'm not betting all these picks, but but some of them for sure.
All right. Up next, we got Manel Starboy Cop taking on Bruno Bulldog Silva. So Manel Cop, 19-7 overall, 31 years old, 5'5" and a 68-inch reach. Bruno Bulldog Silva, 14-5-2 overall, 34 years old, 5'4" and a 66-inch reach. Currently, odds for this fight are minus 375 for Manel Cop and plus 295 for Bruno Silva. Over under on this one set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 188. Under 2.5 plus 145. Personally, I think the over 2.5 solid bet here, just because Manel Cop doesn't do anything, and then at the end of the fight, D-Rose does the best impression as to how Manel Cop looks after he doesn't understand why he lost the fight after not doing shit.
Just looking around at everybody as if like, oh yeah, no, dumbass, you lost the fight.
How to lose. Dude. This is one of those ones, dude, where I don't know who's going to win this fight just because Manel Cop, the way he fights, man, he doesn't really do a whole lot. Give me the over here, over 2.5 at minus 188. I don't hate that. But for a pick, I guess give me Manel Cop to win via decision, but I'm not going to be betting that one.
I'm not betting it either. Gosh. I just the only reason why I'm doing this, I'm picking Manel Cop simply just because I've got enough dogs as it is. But I'm telling you, I don't feel good about it just because I do think Bruno Silva is as live of a dog as can be. I do think that Manel Cop, he just looked a little bit more disappointing in that Makayev fight. He has times where he just, he can be a great athlete, but he doesn't put his foot on the gas. So I think Bruno Silva is live here, but give me Cop, I guess, by decision.
All right, me and D-Rose both on Manel caught via decision. Sneakily, the co-main event, we've got killer Cub Swanson taking on Billy Q, Billy Corantillo. Cub Swanson, 29-14 overall, 41 years old, 5'8" and a 70-inch reach, while Billy Q is 18-6 overall, 36 years old, 5'10" and a 70-inch reach. Currently, odds for this fight plus 130 for Cub Swanson, and Billy Q is minus 155. Over 2.5, minus 145, under 2.5, plus 114. Yeah, I guess give me Billy Q straight up, minus 155. I think is a solid play. For this being co-main event, I don't really understand it, if I'm going to be completely honest. But give me the bigger guy, the guy that uses his range better, and the younger guy at this point. I mean, he's still 36, so not a great look, but, better than 41. And truly, the last time I've been impressed by Cub Swanson was against Darren Elkins, and that was a while ago. So give me a Billy Q to win this fight via decision. Which way are you going here, D-Rose?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say the guy who uses the range better, because if anything that I've seen with Billy Corantillo, that dude does not know range, because all he does is just walk forward and just walks into damage. I do think that, when you're talking about Billy Q, he uses his wrestling and his pressure and his boxing and his cardio.
But he'll throw a front kick, he'll jab. As where Cub Swanson,
he's literally just walking forward. Yeah, Billy Q's just walking forward.
Cub Swanson doesn't have the opportunity to use his range, as where Billy Q, he'll skate around the outside, he'll throw a front kick, he'll jab his way in, but his fights usually turn into bloody wars. I'll give you that, Heroes.
Yeah. Billy Q, he's a brawler type. And for me, I think that, his last win was against, his last couple wins have been against Alexander Hernandez and Damon Jackson. Two dudes who, let's face it, they can get finished pretty quickly. Yeah, and they gas a lot too. Cub Swanson's not a dude who gasses and has never had that issue. Sharp striking, pretty good takedown defense for the most part. He's a good counter striker. And Billy Q can get ate up with some big shots, man. And I think Cub, even being at 41 years old, you go back to that Andre Fili fight, he won that Andre Fili fight, in my opinion. I mean, there was no reason why Andre Fili won that fight. He was clinching the whole time, just hanging on for dear life, because Cub was absolutely landing bombs on him in that third round. So I like Cub Swanson here as a dog. Give me Cub Swanson here, man. I'm surprised that Billy Q's the favorite, but I mean, I get it. Cub Swanson's older, but yeah, I definitely like Cub in this spot.
All right, D-Rose. Fair enough. So we'll move on to the main event. If you guys haven't already, please do us a favor. Hit that thumbs up button for your boys, and let's get into it. We've got Colby Chaos Covington taking on Joaquin New Mansa Buckley. Colby Covington, 17-4 overall, 36 years old, 5'11", 72-inch reach, while New Mansa Joaquin Buckley is 20-6 overall, 30 years old, 5'10", 76-inch reach. Yeah, currently odds for this fight, plus 220 Colby Covington, minus 270 Joaquin Buckley. I'm going to be short here. If Colby Covington looks anything like he looked against Leon Edwards, Joaquin Buckley is going to beat the shit out of Colby Covington, probably going to knock him out. So just going off of the last time I seen Colby, give me Joaquin Buckley to beat the shit out of Colby Covington and probably knock him out. Let's go third round knockout for Joaquin New Mansa Buckley. Which way are you going, D-Rose?
Yeah, as my camera is just sitting here going absolutely static right now. For me, I want to go ahead and try to smudge this out right here with this rag. See if this works. But no, I think same thing as you. Colby cannot come out with that lack of aggression. He's going to have to bring the fight to Joaquin Buckley, because if he doesn't, Joaquin Buckley's going to walk through, in my opinion. He can't stand on the outside, trying to play this kickboxing game with Joaquin Buckley. Joaquin Buckley is going to be the better kickboxer. I will say, I'm surprised the line is as big as it is, because honestly, I thought Colby was going to be a small favorite just with his experience at the championship level and wrestling. But I still do like Joaquin Buckley here. I don't know if he necessarily gets the knockout. I think you can actually see Buckley. I think you're going to see Colby shoot for a takedown. And I think you're going to see Buckley maybe do a little bit of a sprawl and try to initiate his own wrestling against Colby Covington, just where I think he's going to use a little bit of his strength. I don't think it's going to be a whole wrestling match, but I think you're going to see a little bit of Joaquin Buckley's whole well-rounded game. And I bet money he's going to talk about after the fight how he wanted to make sure he showed everybody that he's got the well-rounded skill set, not only the knockouts, but the wrestling as well. I think you'll see some wrestling here from Joaquin Buckley as well to get the job done. Let's go Buckley here by decision.
Fair enough. Antoine, considering everything Colby has done for the UFC, his interim goal will be no.
Colby, his fight will be in the Hall of Fame with Kamaru Usman, because that was, I will say, for as annoying as Colby is, that was one of the best fights that I've seen, is the first fight between him and Kamaru Usman. But now that fight will be in the Hall of Fame, but he himself for his career, no, Colby will not be in the Hall of Fame.
All right. So with that being said, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different picks on this 13 fight card. So number 1 will be Joel Alvarez versus Drakkar Klose. I'm not letting you get away from that one. I'm not letting you get away from that one, dude. That is, I think, if I had to have one play on this card, it would be Joel Alvarez to finish Drakkar Klose. That's happening.
I don't know if I've ever picked Joel Alvarez, so I'm just going to continue not picking him. I don't know why I haven't picked him at this point, but I'm just going to keep rolling with it.
Fair enough. I'm going to go Petrino Jacoby as 2. And I don't know if I should do Tavares Grant or Billy Q Swanson for the third one, because don't really like Johnson Azatar.
He dogging me down.
Don't like Johnson Azatar. Let me go ahead and mark that one off.
You don't want to take a dog here?
Padilla Woods, dude. I'm not trying to eat these beans for any time the rest of the year.
You ain't trying to take a dog here? Come on, man.
Nah, dog. I'm trying to let you eat these beans to close out the year.
I'm going out on my shield.
Is Tavares the favorite, or is Tavares the dog?
I think it's even money.
Yeah. Well, technically, Tavares is minus 105. Davy Grant's minus 115. So Davy Grant's technically the favorite, D-Rose. So I'll let you have that one. There you go.
Yeah, right. That's even money.
There you go. 3 different picks this weekend. Why do I want to call him Brad Tavares? His name is Ramon Tavares versus Davy Grant. That's our first different pick. Second different pick is Joel Alvarez versus Drakkar Klose. And third different pick is Vitor Petrino versus Dustin Jacoby. I got Ramon Tavares, Joel Alvarez, and Vitor Petrino. And D-Rose got Davy Grant, Drakkar Klose, and Dustin Jacoby. D-Rose is going to be triple beamed this upcoming week. Going to close it out with the 3 beans.
Nah. We coming big time with the underdogs here. Man, we gotta get like a dog chain or something like that if we pull this off.
All right, D-Rose. Here we go. I kind of messaged you this last week, and kind of as a joke, you guys should both have to polish off whatever you have left in the bean stand. I will say this right now.
That's way too many.
What do I got in here? I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got like 7 beans in here.
Dude, no. That because I combined 2 boxes into one right here. No, we're not doing that. That's way too many beans in here. Hell no.
All right, D-Rose. If I lose pick champ, I have 7 beans in here. I will open this box and I'll dump all 7 beans in my mouth if I lose pick champ next week. You heard it right here. If I lose pick champ, I'm dumping the rest of this box in my mouth. I can't control what D-Rose does, but
I'll do because I got way too many in here. I got at least 20 something in here. I'm not eating all those at once. If I lose next week, I'll do 3, regardless if it's a clean sweep or not. I'll up the stakes. If I lose, I'll do 3. If I get clean swept, we'll jump it up to 5.
Oh shit! All right,
we'll jump it up to 5 if I get clean swept.
Up in the stakes for the last bean battle of the year. No more beans next year. We got to find out something. I might just get a fucking bottle of some form of alcohol here, and whenever I lose, I'll take a shot and let that be that. It'll taste
That's
bad,
not
but
a
at least
punishment.
it is.
That's not a punishment. No, it's
think,
not. You're enjoying it. It's got to be a punishment. It's got to be something we can't enjoy. But
I don't know if who takes shots and you're like, that's delicious. Like, are you that person?
You're not doing it for the taste. You're doing it for the effect. So, like, yes, you're not doing it for the taste. You're like, ooh, that's a harsh taste. But then later on as the podcast goes, your face is going to get a little hot. You're going to be feeling a little buzz.
Well, I mean, would you want to take 2 shots back to back then? How about that?
No, well, I'm not a drinker, so I'm not.
Me either.
Me
either. You act like I'm a drinker. You act like I want to do this. So see, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to do a shot, so maybe next year I'll just have a fucking bottle here, and when I lose Pick Champ, I'll take a shot. D-Rose don't have to do anything, or he can drink hot sauce since that's what he wants to do. So if you want to, you know what, it's going to be a shot of whatever liquid you fucking want. How about that? Because your bum ass is going to be like, oh, it's alcohol in here. I'm going to have water and be like, ooh, it's so bad. We know the games that D-Rose plays. We know. We know. We know.
Absolute BS. Hey, take it. We got to eat a whole, like, we got to get a ketchup pack and eat a pack of ketchup for each loss.
What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Like, he has issues. I don't get it.
Come on, man.
Like, I don't.
Got to bring out the. Got to bring out the. Got to bring out all the shots here. Got to bring out.
Speaking
all the shots.
from someone that switched out all their beans for fucking Bean Boozled to begin with. I mean, can you really even give your opinion?
Nah, they right here, dog.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, they right
here.
So
I did say before we go, D-Rose, I do have to share one more thing that I saw in the news. It was this right here. Can you see? Or I guess I'm not sharing, am I? So let's full screen it. Yeah. Global Fight League announced team-based organization list and signing 8 former UFC champions, but it wasn't. Shit, where is it at? It was on MMA Fighting. I saw it earlier. Yeah, here we go, dude. Look at these names: Tyron Woodley, Fabricio Verdum, Anthony Pettis, Alexei Oleinik, JDS, Hector Lombard, Luke Rockhold, Abubakar Nurmagomedov, Wanderlei Silva, Alexander Gustafsson, Thiago Santos, Andre Arlovsky, Lucas Martinez, Gabriel Souza, I'm not sure, Kevin Lee, Frank Mir, B. Nguyen, Amari Akhmedov, Charles Rosa, Alan Belcher, Alir Latifi, Jeremy Stevens. The list pretty much just goes on and on, dude. It's basically every UFC fighter that's fought for the company and basically the last 5 years seems to be now signed to this GFL, Global Fight League. Looks like it's going to be a team-based, something about scoring and shit like that. Yeah, dude, what's your thoughts on this as we close out the show here, man? It starts April 2025.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, but man, it just almost seems like I would say the closest competitor to the UFC that I've seen, within my visible MMA lifetime, because I was kind of I was more of like a casual fan when Strikeforce and all those were around, and a little too young for Pride. But I would say Bellator has been like the closest competitor, within the last 10, 15 years of the UFC. It's 10 to 12 years of the UFC. Let's say that. But yeah, I just think for the most part, man, it's just really going to be hard to really get the attention off the UFC just because they have so much momentum. It's good to have another fight organization to give other fighters an outlet, though, for those types of guys like a Fabricio Verdum, Alexander Gustafsson, those types of guys, Kevin Lee, people who might not still be fighting at the top level, but there's some sort of middle ground to where they can still fight and still get paid and still be able to have good performances as well. So maybe that's what the GFL can bring. Be curious to see how it's going to pan out. But yeah, so far so good with the name of the signings.
Yeah. All right. Antoine wanted to let us know that he started watching The Sopranos 2 weeks ago. Never watched it, D-Rose, so
No idea. Anything there for you?
I haven't watched it either, actually. Unfortunately, there, Antoine. I wasn't big into TV then.
Yeah. All right. So with that being said, yeah, me and D Rose, I guess D Rose, you are more than welcome to join me. Change of Cheddar Friday. We'll be the last one of the year. But me and D Rose will be here next week for the last podcast of the year. Me and D Rose will recap our year, give you our thoughts on, fighter of the year, submission of the year, best fight of the year. I don't know, some kind of categories and all that shit. And then we'll just wrap up the show one last time for the year. D-Rose going to be eating some fucking beans. Hopefully. If not, then I'm going to be down in the rest of this box. Probably going to be throwing up some more, but, it is what it is. But, yeah, we appreciate you guys.
With the possibility of 5 coming up. So, hey, that's a lot of pressure in itself.
I love the Log Podcast. We appreciate you, Antoine, for hanging out with us. Get you flossing in D-Rose.
Always got to whip me, Dave. For you, my guy.
Yeah. With that being said, we'll catch you guys Friday for Change of Cheddar, or at least I will. Yeah, we'll catch you guys next week right here for the last podcast of the year. Until then, we hope you guys all have a safe week, safe rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the fights this weekend. Don't be betting more than you can afford to lose on these fights. But until then, I will see you guys Friday. And with that being said, me and D Rose will catch you guys later. Peace.